Chapter 113. Zhao Ximing was worrying about how to enter the waterside villa. The Washing Heavens pavilion was heavily guarded. It was a fool's dream for a swordsman like him to sneak in. An indescribable feeling attacked his heart, making him involuntarily walk in a certain direction. The more he walked, the more intense the feeling became until he saw the figure lying on the ground. Damn it! With just a glance, Zhao Ximing understood what had happened. He quickly ran forward and helped Gu Xingyin up. Great Martial Granduncle! Great Martial Granduncle! Only then did he realize that something was wrong with Gu Xingyin. Her face was pale and her breathing was weak. He reached out his hand and felt Gu Xingyin's pulse. Washing Heavens Pavilion. Zhao Ximing's eyes were almost red. Martial Granduncle's appearance clearly showed that his blood essence was almost completely drained. He trembled as he covered Gu Xingyin's clothes and tied her belt. Then, he walked to the unconscious man. Although he didn't know why the man was unconscious, Zhao Ximing didn't want to know. He unsheathed his sword and swung it down. System, well done. Zhao Ximing didn't dare to delay. He fed Gu Xingyin a qi-nourishing pill and said, "Sorry for the offense." Then, he carried her and rushed toward the Stellar Sword Sect. Xuanke, who was fighting with an overlord-class demonic beast in the distant western wasteland, suddenly felt a wave of panic. He didn't know where this feeling came from. He only felt that something unbearable had happened. Junior sister. His pupils shrank and his face turned pale. He took a look at the moon-crowned serene lotus that hadn't fully matured yet. This was a gift he had prepared for his junior sister. Now, he could only give it up for now. The few Taoists of the Stellar Sword Sect arrived at the waterside villa. Taoist Xing Yu's divine sense swept out. The divine sense belonging to the Sword Sect instantly surrounded the entire waterside villa and didn't miss a single corner. However, she didn't find Martial Granduncle's figure. She frowned doubtfully. Could it be that the information they received was wrong? No. She could clearly see that in one of the rooms, there was a thin and weak woman whose body was abnormally flushed. She was half lying and being fed a bowl of bright red medicine. How was that medicine? It was clearly a bowl of blood. Sage Xingyu suddenly recalled the rumor from a few days ago. Wasn't that woman suffering from fire poison? That bowl of blood? Sage Xingyu's face instantly darkened. She didn't say anything, but directly pulled out her sword and slashed at the Spirit Spring Manor. Junior sister, what's wrong? Reverend Xing Yun and Reverend Xing Feng, who were traveling together, looked at Reverend Xingyu in surprise. Sage Xingyu told them about his previous guess. How dare he from the Heavens Washing Pavilion? Several elders were unable to restrain their anger. At this time, several disheveled figures flashed out. It was Shi Lufeng, Bai Xinya, and the others. They were sent by the Shitian Pavilion Master to protect him, and they managed to escape the calamity. Even so, the Sword Sect's sword was not easy to receive, and they seemed to be in a sorry state. Who are you people? Why did you suddenly attack my Linquan resort? Shi Lufeng recognized the Starnet Sword Sect's attire on the elders. His expression changed, and he forced himself to put on a brave front. Sage Xingyu flipped her hand and slashed at Bai Xinya. Block her. Shi Liufeng's eyes were about to split as he shouted to the two sword venerables beside him. Puff! Puff! The two sword venerables joined forces and suffered serious injuries, but they could only block Sage Xingyu's attack. Where is our young martial granduncle now? Sage Xingyu's face was frosty. Shi Lufeng gritted his teeth. What young martial granduncle? I don't know him at all. Seeing him like this, Sage Xingyu snorted. Without saying anything, she slashed at him again. Chapter 114. Shi Lufeng looked at the two sword venerables lying on the ground with a pale face. He never thought that the Star Sword sect would be so overbearing. Even without concrete evidence, they dared to injure people. He said sternly, "Are you declaring war on the Washing Heavens Pavilion?" Sage Xingyu wanted to attack again but was stopped by Sage Xingyun. "Bring these two back to the sect and wait for the sect master to make a decision," Sage Xingyun said. He looked at the two people on the ground as if he was looking at two dead objects. Xuanke returned to the Star Sword sect and received a message from Sage Xing Luo in his cave. He was about to head to the Washing Heavens Pavilion when he sensed a familiar aura. It was Junior Sister. His figure flashed and disappeared from sight. Zhao Ximing carried the person in his arms and rushed for an entire day. When he saw the Star Sword sect in front of him, he finally heaved a sigh of relief. A huge pressure descended and almost made him kneel on the ground. Fortunately, in the next moment, the pressure disappeared without a trace, and his arms became empty at the same time. Suppressing the disappointment in his heart, Zhao Ximing only had time to see a figure flash by. Xuanke's hands that were holding Gu Xingyin were trembling. The breathing of the junior sister in his arms was so weak. Her face was so pale that it was transparent. It was as if she would disappear in the next second. Sage Xing Luo was the first to know that Gu Xingyin was rescued. In the next moment, Sage Xingyu and the rest returned to the sect. He immediately went to the Lingyan Peak but was blocked by the restriction outside Xuanke's cave. This block lasted for half a month. Until half a month later, Xuanke walked out. Sage Xing Luo thought that he was looking at Venerable Lingxiao. Xuanke said coldly to Sage Xing Luo, "Guard Junior Sister for me." Sage Xing Luo asked, "Where is Martial Granduncle going?" Xuanke's eyes were filled with killing intent. "It's time to settle the score between Junior Sister and the Washing Heavens Pavilion." In less than 2 days, the news of Venerable Lingyun of the Star Sword sect massacring the entire Washing Heavens Pavilion spread throughout the sky below world. From then on, the Heavenly Cleansing Pavilion no longer existed in this world. Shi Lufeng, who was locked up in the Star Gathering Sword sect's water prison, accidentally learned of this news. "Impossible. I hid this from my father, so he didn't know about it. Your Star Azura Sword sect can't do this." He couldn't believe it. The Starnet Sword sect disciple in charge of the guard looked at him with a face full of resentment. "Whether it's true or not, you just have to go out and take a look to know. It spread throughout the entire great sky below world. From now on, there's no more Heaven's Washing Pavilion." "Oh, right. I almost forgot. You actually dared to harm Great Martial Granduncle. You will never be able to go out again." Washing Heaven's Pavilion collapsed onto the ground, exhausted. He had originally hoped that his father would come and rescue him, but he didn't expect that the Star Azura Sword sect would actually act so ruthlessly. He had never thought that just because he did something so insignificant for the woman he loved, he would actually ruin the thousands of years of foundation of the Heavens Washing Pavilion and the lives of countless disciples. It was all because of Bai Xinya. It was all her fault. He looked at Bai Xinya, who was curled up in the corner and struggling in pain, and a trace of hatred suddenly flashed through his eyes. If it wasn't for her, he wouldn't have been so hot-headed as to target the Ice Heart Sword Monarch, and thus offend the Star Gathering Sword sect. If it wasn't for her, he would still be the high and mighty young master of the Washing Heavens Pavilion, pursued by everyone, and not fall into prison and be trampled on by others. If it wasn't for her, the Washing Heavens Pavilion wouldn't have collapsed, and his father wouldn't have died. If it wasn't for her, a trace of madness flashed through Shi Liufeng's eyes. Chapter 115. By the time the disciples of the Star Sword sect found out, Bai Xinya had already been killed by Shi Lufeng, who had fallen into madness. This woman probably never thought that she would one day die in the hands of a man who had always been obedient to her. When Gu Xingyin woke up, she felt weak all over. She was no stranger to this feeling. Gu Xingyin complained, "System, did you notice that I seem to have to experience the same scene in almost every world?" The system was a bit guilty. "Host, there's no way to control this. Every main character's path of growth is not smooth sailing. Gu Xingyin, Xuanke lifted the curtain and came in, his expression gentle, junior sister. Gu Xingyin smiled and wanted to get up, but found that her body didn't have the strength. She could only helplessly give up. Senior brother, I didn't sleep for too long, right? Xuanke greedily looked at this lively junior sister and said softly, it's only been half a year. Gu Xingyin didn't know why, but she felt that although her senior brother looked the same as before, she had a strange feeling in her heart. She wanted to reach out for a cup, but Xuanke held her down and personally filled her cup. He also refused her request to do it himself and fed her without any explanation. It was clear that her senior brother was treating her like a fragile crystal person. I'm fine, senior brother. Gu Xingyin was helpless. In this half-year, the Star Sword sect used all of its power to find treasures for Gu Xingyin to nurse her body back to health. Xuanke didn't hesitate to use his true qi every day to help her unblock her meridians. Gu Xingyin's body had gradually returned to normal because of the lack of blood essence. In the face of Gu Xingyin's words, Xuanke smiled gently, I know. Come, open your mouth. Gu Xingyin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Does this mean that I know what you mean, but I don't want to do it? Not only did he not allow Gu Xingyin to do anything herself, but ever since Gu Xingyin woke up, Xuanke had never left her side. He even allowed her to get too close to others. Gu Xingyin also knew that her previous appearance might have frightened him. Although she felt a little helpless, she didn't reject this kind of behavior. Half a year later, the Starnet Sword sect's venerable Ling Xiao presided over the wedding between his personal disciple, the Iceheart Sword Monarch, and his martial nephew, the venerable Ling Yun. It had become a major event in the Great Sky Billow world in recent decades. After a few more years, the Iceheart Sword Sovereign successfully broke through and became the Iceheart Sword Venerable. Honorable Swordmaster Iceheart and her Tao companion, the Cloud-Soaring Supremacy, had a very close relationship. Many people said that they had seen the figures of Honorable Swordmaster Iceheart and the Cloud-Soaring Supremacy all over the Skysurge Great World. 100 years later, Sword Venerable Iceheart broke through again and became the Iceheart Sword Master. Another 100 years later, the Grand Elder of the Starnet Sword sect, the Venerable Ling Xiao, reached the end of his lifespan and closed his eyes at the Ling Xiao Peak. For the next 500 years, the world never saw the shadow of the Iceheart Sword Master again. Some said that she had suffered a huge blow due to her master's death, and was unable to recover from it. Others said that the Iceheart Sword Master had died in a duel 100 years ago. There were also some who said that the Iceheart Sword Master was only in seclusion to cultivate. Until one day, when the wind was gentle and the sun was bright, the sound of a sword in the 9 heavens rang out. All sword cultivators vaguely sensed something and looked in the same direction. The long swords in their hands were all unsheathed at the same time, and their figures bent in the same direction. 10,000 swords bowed, and a sword saint appeared. That was the direction of the Starnet Sword sect. From then on, the Iceheart Sword sect no longer existed. There was only a sword saint expert, the Venerable Iceheart. Chapter 116. Gu Xingyin found herself in a car. Sitting beside her was a very capable woman wearing a black business suit and a pair of gold-rimmed glasses. Seeing that she had woken up, she took out a bottle of water from her handbag and handed it to her. You must be tired today. I've pushed back all the jobs for you for the next week. You should have a good rest. Gu Xingyin cheered, thank you, Sister Chen. In this world, the original name was Ruan Kui. Now, she was a well-known movie queen in Z country. The woman in the black suit was her manager, Chen Rong. Ruan Kui was a model. She was born with a good foundation. She had a slim waist and long legs. Her facial features were exquisite. When she was 18 years old, she won the international supermodel competition. In 2 years, she was promoted to the ranks of the international supermodels. When she was 20 years old, she started to enter the entertainment industry. Now, she was 24 years old, and she was already the #1 female star in Z country. Because she was a supermodel, Wan Kei had a strong aura. People who stood beside her would often unconsciously feel suppressed. Therefore, Wan Kei was affectionately called Her Majesty by her fans. Only Chen Rong knew that this, Her Majesty, who was incomparably powerful in front of her fans, was actually a little princess with a pink heart in private. The car soon arrived at the apartment where Wan Kei lived. This was provided by Wan Kei's entertainment company, Star Entertainment. It was one of the famous rich areas in Qinghua City. The security measures were excellent, and even paparazzi would have a hard time entering. Chen Rong personally sent Gu Xingyin to the door of the room. She only left after watching her enter the room. Gu Xingyin felt weak at this time. In her previous world, she was a sword saint. She rarely had this kind of feeling. She walked into the bathroom, filled the bathtub with hot water, dripped essential oil, and soaked herself in. She comfortably moaned and began to organize the information about this world in her mind. The original Wan Kei was now an internationally renowned movie queen, and the other target was now awkwardly playing a small supporting role. Ming Shujia. This woman was about the same age as Wan Kei, but her fate was completely different. Her appearance was not too outstanding in the entertainment industry where beauties were everywhere. Her facial features were not very distinctive. Since her debut, she had been receiving some small investment scripts. Even these scripts, she could only play a supporting role. However, at the age of 24, her luck seemed to have changed. First, the director of a low-budget literary film took a fancy to her and informed her to audition for the lead role. No one knew that this unremarkable literary film would actually win the Best Film Award at the internationally renowned film festival at that time. Although she herself did not win the Best Actress award, she became famous because of this and quickly entered the public eye. After that, all kinds of good things came one after another. She took on several scripts that were not well known but had a good reputation after being released. Gradually, she was promoted from a small actress to the ranks of the popular starlets. Everyone thought that she was just lucky. There were even media reports that called her the luckiest artist of the year. However, Gu Xingyin knew that it wasn't because she was lucky, but because Ming Shujia wasn't Ming Shujia at all. The original Ming Shujia fell down while hanging on a wire and was sent to the hospital with a concussion. When she woke up again, no one knew that her soul had changed. Chapter 117. The soul that occupied Ming Shujia's body came from 10 years later, so she knew which of the current scripts would be dark horses and which would be popular. With such a big cheat in her hands, it was hard for Ming Shujia not to be popular. If that was the case, Wan Kei and her would not have had much interaction, let alone any enmity. However, Wan Kei was one of the few actors in the entertainment industry who was clean and honest. She had fame, ability, and capital. She did not need to rely on those things to create momentum for herself and fight for resources for herself. Ming Shujia was different. Therefore, during a banquet with an investor, Ming Shujia was met by Wan Kei, who came to eat with her friends. If a female star was exposed to this kind of thing, especially someone like Ming Shujia who walked the youthful path, her career would be ruined. Actually, they only had a quick glance at each other. Ming Shujia had heavy makeup on, so Wan Kei did not recognize her at all. However, the next day, Ming Shujia was still exposed to the news of having fun with a rich businessman late at night. Although the photo was vague and there was no real evidence, Ming Shujia's company's PR team dealt with it quickly. At this time, Ming Shujia was not affected. However, she used this opportunity to hate Wan Kei. She thought that it was her who leaked the news to the media, which put her in danger. Ming Shujia's revenge came quickly. She knew some inside information that others did not know. She even secretly colluded with a rich man who was rumored to be in love with the queen. She promised that as long as he did what she wanted, she would help him get Wuxia. The two of them conspired to drug Wuxia at a banquet. The rich man could not help but loot a burning house and possess Wuxia. He even purposely leaked the news to the media. Wuxia's reputation fell to the bottom. At this time, the rich man affectionately said that he had loved her for a long time and was willing to marry her. At that time, Wuxia was deeply touched and married him regardless of her manager's objection. However, not long after the marriage, she found that the rich man was not loyal to his marriage. He had other women outside. She was furious, but only received disdainful mockery from her husband. "You're just an actress that everyone hates. Do you really think you're still the queen?" Wuxia wanted a divorce, but her husband threatened her with her virginity. Her life was miserable, and her parents, who were university professors, were fired because of her. After muddling along for a few years, she finally embarked on the path of no return, suicide. As for Ming Shujia, she relied on her unique vision and smoothly became the new generation's movie queen. Gu Xingyin calculated the time. Ming Shujia had just accepted an artistic film that would allow her to make a comeback. The cast had just been selected. In other words, the current Ming Shujia was still a small artist who was struggling on the sidelines. Gu Xingyin didn't take her too seriously. With Wuxia's current status, she didn't even need to do anything to Ming Shujia. She thought for a moment and said to the system, "System, help me collect a photo of Ming Shujia drinking with an investor. I want her role to be cancelled." As far as she knew, Ming Shujia had attended quite a number of such banquets in her early days. The system was quite efficient in collecting information. In less than an hour, a bunch of photos of actors being slept with appeared on the major gossip forums. Chapter 118. Why? Ming Shujia looked at the director in disbelief. She had just been informed that the female lead had been replaced. How could she accept this? Although this literary film had a small investment, it had a good reputation. In order to get the role of the female lead, she had done a lot of preparation. She didn't even hesitate to put down her status to accompany those fat men. The director took out his phone and opened a web page for her to see. "You also know that our film is going for the path of youth and pure love. Let's not talk about other things first. The female lead actress must not have any scandals. Otherwise, it will have a big impact on the film." The director was also a little disappointed with Ming Shujia. When he first saw her, he was very satisfied. Ming Shujia's fresh and natural aura was exactly the image of the female lead in his mind. Unfortunately, it was useless now. When the film was broadcasted, the audience would think of the scandals on the internet when they saw the female lead. This film was not one of those brainless commercial films that sold gimmicks to gain popularity. If this happened, it would undoubtedly be a fatal blow to the ambitious director who participated in the film festival. Ming Shujia's heart was miserable. She didn't know who she had offended to be assigned such a thing. In this way, it was impossible for her to get the role. At this time, Gu Xingyin was sleeping soundly when she was woken up by a call from her best friend. She asked the queen to pick her up at the airport. Song Sisi was the best friend who grew up with the original owner. Now, he was a slightly famous fashion designer. Gu Xingyin put on her sunglasses and baseball cap and went to the airport. "I missed you so much." Song Sisi gave Gu Xingyin a loving hug and then looked at Gu Xingyin with shining eyes. "Cuckoo, you are really getting more and more beautiful. Your long legs are really mesmerizing." For fashion designers, a good figure was more important than anything else. Wuxia was 1.78 meters tall. Her figure was almost perfect. Her long legs were the envy of others. Song Sisi always drooled when looking at her. "Okay, let's go back and eat first." The two chatted happily and didn't notice that in the VIP passage not far away, a tall man wearing sunglasses was looking at them for a long time until they left. Ruan. Kai. The man softly uttered the name, his beautifully curved lips forming a mesmerizing smile. Finally. I've found you. Mr. Gardner. The staff next to him shouted in confusion. The man came back to his senses and said lightly, let's go. After dinner, Ruan Kai was dragged by Song Sisi to the villa where she lived. That's right, a villa. Song Sisi was a rich second-generation heir, so she generously used more than 10 rooms to store her works. Gu Xingyin was pulled over by her to act as a fitting rack. Gu Xingyin looked at the room full of clothes. She had to admit that Song Sisi had an amazing talent in fashion design. Inspiration, the dream of all designers. Although these clothes didn't look perfect, some of the details were amazing. Gu Xingyin knew that in the upcoming fashion show, Song Sisi would shock the world with a set of male and female, Frost Domain. Chapter 119. Gu Xingyin had a deep impression of the ice and snow domain because it was so famous. The male model was the top international supermodel, Ludwig Gardner. The female model, Cecilia, was not very famous, but she became one of the most popular female supermodels because of this fashion show. At that time, Song Sisi was not very famous. Although she did not know why Ludwig, who was already an international supermodel, chose this set of clothes, Gu Xingyin was not willing to give up this opportunity this time. Sisi, are you going to participate in the Tsinghua International Fashion Week this time? Gu Xingyin asked Song Sisi, who was holding the clothes to compare on her. Song Sisi paused. Ku, how did you know? She was a little surprised. She had never told anyone about this. Tsinghua Fashion Week was one of the top international fashion weeks. Although she was encouraged by her mentor, Kevin, the design director of the international luxury brand CCRU, to show her work at this fashion week, she did not tell anyone. This girl was still a little unconfident and was afraid that others would say that she was overestimating herself. Gu Xingyin said with a smile, we grew up together. Do you think I don't know what you are thinking? She continued, when the time comes, I will be your model, okay? Song Sisi was not just surprised, but pleasantly surprised. She knew how talented Ruan Kai was in the field of modeling. Many international fashion brands had tried to invite her to be their global spokesperson. However, since she entered the entertainment industry 4 years ago, she had not shown up at any fashion week. She was actually willing to step on the runway again for her. Gu Xingyin looked at Song Sisi, who seemed to be so touched that she was about to cry. He laughed and said, okay, I just believe in your talent. I'm betting that the clothes you designed this time can make me stand out in the limelight. If the clothes you design are too ugly, I will regret it. Song Sisi exhaled. When she talked about her design, her eyes lit up. Let's go, I will show you. She pulled Gu Xingyin and walked straight into the innermost room. Song Sisi took out the key and opened the door. Gu Xingyin realized that the room was surprisingly big, but there were only 2 sets of clothes in the whole room. Song Sisi walked to one of the hangers and lifted the curtain covering the clothes. Gu Xingyin's eyes widened instantly. So beautiful. What appeared in front of him was a silver-white female gown. The neckline was a gorgeous lace V-neck design, and the material was light and elegant silk. It was perfect to the touch and fall. The transparent long sleeves were covered with snowflakes, and the layers of the gown were dotted with countless tiny diamonds. It was as if countless snowflakes had fallen around her, blooming with elegant colors under the light. Luxurious beyond compare. Gu Xingyin was amazed. She could tell at a glance that the clothes were inlaid with at least hundreds of small diamonds, all of which were genuine. Song Sisi looked at Gu Xingyin's eyes and was also very happy. What do you think? Gu Xingyin took a deep breath and looked at her sincerely. Sisi, you will definitely shock the whole world. Song Cece didn't seem to expect to receive such high praise, but she was very happy. Then I will take advantage of your auspicious words. Gu Xingyin asked, have you decided on the male model? Song Cece shook his head. The mentor has seen my work. He said that he already has a suitable male model. Gu Xingyin understood. It turned out that Kevin had come forward. No wonder Ludwig had chosen Song Cece's work at that time. Chapter 120. Sure enough, the next day, Gu Xingyin received a call from Song Cece. Ku, do you know who my mentor found for me? Ludovic. Ludovic Gardner. That's my Prince Charming. To be able to make him walk a show for me in my lifetime, I can die without regrets. Gu Xingyin waited patiently for Song Cece to finish venting her emotions. Then she asked, has it been decided? Song Cece calmed down a little and said, not yet. He will come over this afternoon to see my works. Ku, come with him. Try it on and see if there is anything that needs to be changed. Gu Xingyin nodded and called her agent. Sister Chen, I plan to participate in the Tsinghua Fashion Week next month. Chen Rong was surprised. You plan to return to the fashion industry? Gu Xingyin shook her head and said with a smile, that's not what I mean. It's just that Cece is going to participate in this fashion week. I promised her that I would be her mute. Chen Rong's tone was a little worried. I know you are very good friends, but although Miss Song is talented, she has never participated in such a big event. What if? Have you considered your image? At Wan Kai's level, every move had to be in line with her identity. She hadn't been on the runway for 4 years. If the effect this time was not satisfactory, it would be a big blow to her reputation. Gu Xingyin knew that Chen Rong was thinking for her. She chuckled. Sister Chen, if you knew who Cece's model was this time, I'm afraid you wouldn't say that. Chen Rong was a little curious. Oh. Who is it? Gu Xingyin said softly, Ludovic Gardner. Chen Rong was silent for a few seconds. After a while, she said excitedly, who did you say it was? I didn't hear wrong. Is it Ludovic? King Ludovic of the runway? Gu Xingyin knew that this would be the reaction. This serious and somewhat old-fashioned agent was actually a die-hard fan of Ludwig. Her tone was light as she said, Sigh, I'm going to try on some clothes this afternoon. I don't know, maybe we can take a group photo or an autograph or something. Chen Rong interrupted her, are you at home now? I'll be there in half an hour. How can I miss such an important event? Gu Xingyin hung up the phone. Done. She knew that Chen Rong would not stop her from bringing up Ludwig. Not only was Chen Rong a fan of his, but he was also known as the king of the fashion industry. His shows had never disappointed. In the afternoon, Gu Xingyin came to Song Cece's house as promised. She was chatting with an old man with white hair. Kevin, long time no see. Gu Xingyin greeted him. This person was Song Cece's mentor, the design director of CRUU. Hey. Juan. Kevin gave her a warm hug. 2 years ago, the two had worked together. At that time, Kevin had asked Wan Kai to be her exclusive model, but he had been rejected. However, this cute old man had always been thinking about Wan Kai. The fashion industry is really dim without your figure. Juan, I heard from Cece that you want to be her model. Kevin's eyes were shining. Gu Xingyin nodded. Great. Kevin praised loudly. The first thing I thought of when I saw this set of clothes was you. Only you can satisfy people's fantasy of the Ice Queen. Chapter 121. Looks like I'm late. A deep male voice sounded. Gu Xingyin followed the sound and looked over. She recognized the man at first glance. It was Ludwig Gardner. Although Wuxia had never seen this man before, she had seen his face in magazines many times. But for some people, you would only be able to feel their charm when you meet them in person. Ludwig Gardner's facial features were undoubtedly good-looking. Whether it was his eyebrows, eyes, nose bridge, or even his lips, which were praised by countless people, they were all in just the right places. However, for anyone who saw him in person, the first thing they would notice would definitely not be his appearance, but his aura. It was as if they were facing a king, a god, and they were imprisoned in his omnipresent domain. This was the aura of a top supermodel. Kevin said, "Hey. You're late today. Remember to treat us to dinner later." Ludwig's beautiful blue eyes were like the deep starry sky. His smile was extremely charming. "No problem." He turned his head. "Then, let me first get to know these two beautiful ladies." Song Sisi was already stunned when she saw Ludwig. Only now did she come back to her senses. Looking at the face that was more impactful in reality than in magazines, her face instantly turned red. "Hello, I'm the designer, Song Sisi." Ludwig bent down and shook hands with him. Gu Xingyin, on the other hand, greeted him generously. "Hello, Mr. Gardner. I've heard a lot about you." This man was so tall. Wuxia was 1.78 meters tall, which was already considered very tall. This man was a head taller than her, so he was definitely more than 1.9 meters tall. Ludwig Gardner winked at him and spoke in authentic Z Nation's language. "What a polite way to address me. You can call me Ludwig, the beautiful Miss Wuxia." When he smiled, his eyes seemed to be filled with deep affection, which made people want to drown in them. Gu Xingyin also smiled. "Then, Ludwig, I hope we get along well." This man was indeed charming. If she didn't already have a partner, she might have been moved by him. Kevin suddenly said in a strange tone, "Sigh, poor old Kevin, no one cares about him. The lovely ladies only like handsome young men." Pfft. Gu Xingyin couldn't help but laugh. Kevin, this old urchin, was really funny. "Let's take a look at the clothes." Song Sisi was interrupted and remembered his business. She first showed off her female outfit. So beautiful. Ludwig didn't hide the shock in his eyes. He looked at Wuxia. "Is Miss Ruan the model for this dress?" Wuxia smiled at him. "I'm here for the same reason as Mr. Ludwig." "Then I'm honored." Song Sisi opened the men's clothing again. This time, Ludwig looked at the clothes seriously. Finally, he straightened his body and said to Song Sisi, "Let's go." "Miss Song Sisi, you really are an amazing designer." Song Sisi was a little nervous. "Then, Ludwig, are you willing to be my model?" Ludwig's mouth curved into a charming smile. He didn't answer directly. Instead, he looked at Gu Xingyin. "If Miss Ruan is willing, I naturally have no objections." Chapter 122. His words made everyone look at Gu Xingyin. Kevin even had a hint of ridicule in his eyes. Gu Xingyin smiled calmly and blinked. "Ludwig, if I were a little narcissistic, would I think that you've fallen in love with me?" Ludwig laughed softly. "Miss Wuxia is the dream lover of countless people. Maybe I'll really fall in love with you at first sight." Gu Xingyin seemed helpless. "Alright, it seems that we're destined to cooperate this time." As soon as she said this, everyone understood what she meant. She agreed. Ludwig stretched out his hand again. "Happy cooperation." Song Sisi couldn't wait. "Quick, you two go try on the clothes." "Oh my God, I can't wait to see the combination of His Majesty the King and Her Majesty the Queen." Gu Xingyin took the clothes to the fitting room. When both sides came out, they were shocked by each other's beauty. Gu Xingyin's appearance was originally imposing, and her temperament was different from ordinary people after the tempering of several worlds. This set of clothes seemed to be tailor-made for her. She wore a crown of ice and snow and stood there as if she really was the only queen in the world of ice and snow. Extremely cold and also extremely beautiful. But Ludwig was different. He was the queen's most loyal knight. His style was also silver white, and the close-fitting design outlined his perfect figure at a glance. The cloak of the same color fell to the ground, adding a sense of sternness. His blue eyes were filled with love and loyalty as he looked at his only queen and knelt down on one knee. "My Majesty." He leaned over and gently kissed the queen's ring. "Katja." Song Sisi clutched his chest and held his phone. "I can't take it anymore. Oh my God, I can guarantee that if this photo spreads, many people's blood will be emptied." After being interrupted by Song Sisi, the atmosphere disappeared without a trace. Ludwig let go of Gu Xingyin's hand and stood up. Gu Xingyin also breathed a sigh of relief. Being stared at by Ludwig like that, she actually felt her heart race. The few of them discussed their own ideas again. By the time they finished talking, they realized that it was already dinner time. Ludwig said, "I promised Kevin to treat you guys to a meal. I wonder if you guys are willing to do me the honor." Of course, they had no objections. Gu Xingyin remembered something and called Chen Rong to come over. Chen, fangirl, Rong successfully got a group photo and an autograph of her idol and left with a satisfied look. The four of them did not expect that the next day, the news of them eating together would be exposed. The movie queen dines with the king of the fashion industry. Movie queen Wan Kei, deskmate with CUU designer and international supermodel, is suspected to be returning to the fashion industry. Wan Kei and Ludwig had an intimate conversation, and the two are suspected to be deeply in love. Most of these reports were just groundless accusations. Gu Xingyin just skimmed through them and put them aside. Her Weibo account blew up frowny face. Her Majesty the Queen and His Majesty the King are together. My baby's life is complete. Is Her Majesty the Queen returning to the fashion industry? I beg Her Majesty the Queen to return to the runway. Her Majesty the Queen is so beautiful. Ludwig is so handsome. Who is that foreign man? He's so handsome, but Her Majesty the Queen belongs to Brother Fong. Don't tear apart Brother Fong and Co. I beg Her Majesty the Queen to return to the runway. I beg Her Majesty the Queen to return to the runway +1, I beg Her Majesty the Queen to return to the runway +2, I beg Her Majesty the Queen to return to the runway +1. Chapter 123. Gu Xingyin was lying on the bed with a facial mask on her face as she scrolled through the comments on her phone. Chen Rong glanced at her and said, "This won't affect you much, but don't tell anyone that you're going to participate in Tsinghua Fashion Week." Gu Xingyin said, "I know, Sister Chen." Chen Rong left quickly. Gu Xingyin opened her account and sent a message, "I met Ludwig. He's really handsome." After sending the message, she turned off her phone, washed up, and went to bed. When she turned on her phone the next day, she found that her Weibo post had been reposted countless times. It turned out that Ludwig had followed her and reposted her Weibo post with a comment, "You're also very beautiful, Your Majesty." He even added an emoticon. Fuck, when I think of the powerful king using emoticons, I'm so shamelessly cute. This is so full of JQ. What's with this faint feeling of pampering? Tell me this isn't my imagination. This isn't your imagination +1, this isn't your imagination +2, this isn't your imagination +3, this isn't your imagination +ID number, I'm here to destroy the formation. Although I'm a firm supporter, I somehow feel that the King X Queen CP is also very cool. What should I do? Long live the two kings. Long live the two kings. At this time, Gu Xingyin's phone rang. A director contacted me today. He has a movie on hand and asked if you want to take it. Chen Rong said over the phone. Gu Xingyin wailed, "Sister Chen, what happened to the 1 week holiday? Don't you love me anymore? Chen Rong was cold and unmoved. The director is Li Fengyun. Gu Xingyin immediately changed her words. What movie? Let me see. Chen Rong knew her reaction would be like this. She said, I've already replied to Director Li. I'll give him a reply tomorrow. I'll go to your place this afternoon. Gu Xingyin actually had a rough idea of which movie it was. Li Fengyun was one of the most famous directors in Country Z. His style was known for its grandeur and strong rhythm, which was a necessity for commercial films. However, Director Li's films were always able to dig out a trace of humanistic feelings amidst the passion. He was one of the rare directors who was well received and popular. Calculating the time, among the movies that he had been preparing recently, there was only one that required an actress of Wan Kei's caliber, Divinity. This film was known as a milestone in Z country's film industry. Not only did it reach the peak of 10 billion in box office sales, but it also swept all the awards in that year's film festival, creating a brand new model. In this movie, the main lead and the main supporting roles all became the most popular people in the world. At that time, Wan Kei had accepted another drama. It was a foreign commercial blockbuster that had also cost a lot of money to shoot, but it was overshadowed by Divinity. This time, Gu Xingyin wouldn't give up this opportunity. Moreover, it seemed that Ming Shujia also played a supporting role in this film. She wouldn't give Ming Shujia any chance to stand out. At this time, what was Ming Shujia doing? She was trying her best to avoid a perverted hand on her thigh. Why? You're not willing. The drunk man opened his mouth and his breath reeked of alcohol. Why are you still pretending to be a chaste woman? If you're so noble, how did you get those photos? I'll be frank here. If you accompany me for one night, I'll throw money at you for that role. How about it? The man looked at her from the corner of his eyes. Ming Shujia's heart trembled with anger. Her face turned pale, but in the end, she revealed a sweet smile and slowly placed her hands on the man's chest. No matter what, she couldn't lose this movie. Chapter 124. Chen Rong came quickly. As Gu Xingyin expected, she had the script for Divinity. Gu Xingyin looked at it for a while and took a deep breath. Sister Chen, tell Director Li that I'll take this script. Chen Rong wasn't surprised. She nodded. I'll reply to them later. We'll discuss the details later. Hello, Sister Kai. Hello, Sister Wan. Gu Xingyin walked in the company and many artists took the initiative to greet her. Gu Xingyin returned a friendly smile. A few newly signed artists were secretly discussing. Oh my god, movie queen Ruan is so friendly. She doesn't put on airs at all. As newly signed artists who weren't well known, they had learned a lot in the past few days. Many A-list and B-list artists didn't even look at them. They didn't expect the most famous movie queen Ruan Kei to be so kind. The agent in charge of guiding them looked at them and said, movie queen Ruan is famous for her good temper in the entertainment industry. She never makes things difficult for newcomers. Ruan Kei's company, Star Entertainment, was one of the biggest entertainment companies in the country. She had a few award-winning actors and actresses under her wing, as well as many A-listers. However, even here, Ruan Kei was undoubtedly the number one star. Kei. A clear voice sounded. Gu Xingyin smiled at him. Brother Fong. The person who came was wearing a light gray windbreaker. He was slender and had gentle eyes. Fong Ming, 30 years old, had won the Movie King twice and was one of the male artists who had worked with Ruan Kei the most. They were called the best on-screen couple. Many fans hoped that they could become a couple and called them the Funka couple. Fong Ming had always liked Ruan Kei, but Ruan Kei had always treated him as a good friend and a good partner. She had even explicitly rejected him before. However, Fong Ming didn't seem to have given up. The two were here to participate in the promotion of a summer blockbuster that the company was promoting this year. Fong Han and Wan Kei weren't the main characters. Fong Han played the brother of the main character and was barely an important supporting role. As for Wan Kei, she only appeared once. When the filming of the movie started, both of their schedules were very tight. The company asked them to spare some time just to use their reputation to promote the movie. It had to be said that the company's move was very successful. Many fans of the two were willing to spend dozens of yuan to buy a movie ticket just to see their idols in action. Why? I'm the main character. Those two dressing rooms are my favorite. Why did you give them to someone else? As soon as the two of them reached the dressing room, they heard the voice complaining. Next, a voice that sounded like an agent was advising her, "My lady, what are Wan Kei and Fong Ming's positions? Just bear with it for now. When you become more famous than the two of them, the best resources will naturally be yours." As the manager spoke, he opened the door as if he wanted to get something. When he saw Gu Xingyin and Fong Ming standing at the door with a faint smile, his face froze. He forced a smile and said, "Sister Wan and Brother Fong are here. Are you here to get styled for the press conference?" He quickly stood aside and made way for the two of them. The two of them didn't speak. Chen Rong, who had been following behind them, slowly said, "It's the company's rules which artists use which level of equipment. If Miss Lin has any objections, you can reflect to the company." Then, without even looking at the manager's extremely ugly expression, he walked in leisurely. Chapter 125. Gu Xingyin had a good impression of Lin Baihe. She came from a good family. This time, she was able to act in this movie because of her good looks and acting skills. The most important reason was that her father, who spoiled his daughter, spent a lot of money on the crew. It just so happened that several famous artists in Star Entertainment couldn't spare the time, so the role was given to her. At this moment, her agent was probably very anxious. In the original plot, Lin Baihe didn't develop well. She had a bad temper and was arrogant. Because she ridiculed Ming Shujia, the latter hated her. After Ming Shujia became famous, she didn't forget to suppress her. Lin Baihe had always been a mediocre artist in the entertainment circle. Sure enough, when Gu Xingyin went back, Lin Baihe's agent took her to apologize to Wan Kei. "Sister Wan, I'm really sorry. Baihe is young and ignorant. She offended the senior and apologizes to you." Lin Baihe, who was standing behind him, stepped forward and bowed at Gu Xingyin, apologizing in a low voice. Gu Xingyin saw that her eyes were red. She must have been scolded by her agent. She waved her hand. In this entertainment circle, it's better to keep your mouth shut. After Gu Xingyin walked away, the agent glared at Lin Baihe. "Fortunately, it's Sister Wan today. If it's someone with a bad temper, you won't be able to survive in Star Entertainment." When Gu Xingyin went downstairs, she unexpectedly saw Ming Shujia. She was walking into the elevator with several young actresses. Gu Xingyin raised her eyebrows. She remembered that Ming Shujia wasn't an artist in Star Entertainment. What was going on? Ming Shujia was here to sign a contract. She used to be in a small, unknown company. There weren't any famous celebrities, and she didn't have a powerful agent. Ming Shujia knew that it was better to lean on a big tree. Star Entertainment had a big background and resources. Although there were many artists and competition was fierce, she was confident that she could stand out. Gu Xingyin was surprised when he learned that Ming Shujia had successfully signed a contract with Star Entertainment. She was a 24-year-old female artist who was still a B-lister and had such rumors about her. She was even able to sign a contract with Star Entertainment, which had always been strict. Ming Shujia was not a simple woman. However, this is more interesting, isn't it? Gu Xingyin smiled slowly. The stronger the opponent, the greater the sense of achievement when he could trample her under his feet. Gu Xingyin was in a cafe with not many people, so she did not know that she had been recognized by a fan and that her smile had been photographed. A certain forum suddenly exploded. OP was bored and came out for a cup of coffee. I didn't expect to be so lucky to meet Her Majesty the Queen. He even secretly took a photo. My HP bar is empty, and I'm already kneeling under Her Majesty the Queen's skirt. Let's cut to the chase. Take the picture. On the sofa on the second floor, Her Majesty the Queen's looks are off the charts. That devilish smile is so mesmerizing. Desktop has been changed. Mommy asked me why the screen is so clean. Looking at the decorations around, I can already guess where this place is. Damn, the OP is a tycoon. Upstairs, don't go. Where is this place? I want to form a group and fight Her Majesty the Queen. Upstairs +1, oh my god, I'm turning gay. Why are you so handsome, Her Majesty the Queen? Her Majesty the Queen is my husband. If you don't agree, let's fight. If you want to fight, then let's fight. Chapter 126. When Gu Xingyin arrived at the restaurant, she saw Ludwig looking at something on his phone. Her eyes were sharp, and she immediately saw herself on the screen. Looking at the background, she must have been secretly photographed in the cafe earlier. When Ludwig saw her, he didn't have the slightest intention of restraining himself. He saved the photo in the album right in front of her. Gu Xingyin was speechless. Ludwig smiled and said, "It's beautiful." Gu Xingyin said, "Thank you." Ludwig moved the menu in front of her. "What would you like to eat?" Seeing her look around, he smiled considerately. "I heard Miss Song recommend it. She said it's very safe here and we don't have to worry about being photographed by the paparazzi." After Gu Xingyin ordered the dishes, the waiter who had been waiting by the side quickly took the food and left. Ludwig was pouring wine for Gu Xingyin. His slender and fair fingers gripped the goblet, and the translucent red wine reflected in it was exceptionally beautiful. Gu Xingyin was dazed. This man's every move was full of indescribable charm. Wine for the beauty. Ludwig raised the wine glass in his hand. Gu Xingyin took a sip and praised, "You speak Z country well." Ludwig smiled. "My grandmother is Z country. I like Z country very much." The food was quickly served. Gu Xingyin ate slowly and elegantly. Ludwig looked at her the whole time. His gaze was too intense, and Gu Xingyin couldn't ignore it. She put down the cutlery in her hand. "Mr. Gardner," Ludwig interrupted her. "Call me Ludwig." Gu Xingyin said, "Okay, Ludwig. Is there something wrong with my makeup today?" Ludwig smiled and said, "No, you're very beautiful today." Gu Xingyin asked, "Then why are you staring at me?" Ludwig smiled brightly. "It's because Kei is good-looking. There's an old saying in Z country that a beauty is a feast for the eyes. I plan to give it a try and see if it's true." Gu Xingyin, okay, he was sure that Ludwig was making fun of him. But she couldn't get angry because of this. That would be too ungentlemanly. Gu Xingyin thought for a moment and said to Ludwig, "Ludwig, if you continue like this, you might not feel hungry, but the lady opposite you will be so embarrassed that she won't be able to eat." Ludwig blinked, his blue eyes full of sincerity. "Why?" Gu Xingyin gritted her teeth in her heart, but she still had a perfect smile on her face. "Because, being stared at by such a handsome man like you, no woman can concentrate." How come she never knew that Ludwig was so shameless? "Oh, then I know." Ludwig seemed to understand something. "Kei, you like my face," he said with certainty. Gu Xingyin had never seen such a shameless person. She smiled and gritted her teeth. Everyone loves beauty. Ludwig suddenly understood. He suddenly smiled brightly and said to Gu Xingyin, "So, Kei, let's go out." Gu Xingyin. Wait. What kind of development is this? Ludwig continued, look. You like my face, which means you have a good impression of me. And it just so happens that I like you very much. So let's go out. Gu Xingyin calmly interrupted him. If I remember correctly, we've only met once. This is the second time we've met. No, no, no. Ludwig refuted her very seriously. In fact, this is the third time we've met. The first time we met was at the airport. You were with Miss Song. He looked at Gu Xingyin and said affectionately, Miss Ruankei, I fell in love with you at first sight. Chapter 127. At the Tsinghua Fashion Week Press Conference. Country Z's Tsinghua City was known as the world's fashion capital. Every designer dreamed of attending Tsinghua Fashion Week. Similarly, Tsinghua Fashion Week was also one of the most popular places for supermodels. Gu Xingyin arrived at the destination early. Although the supermodels looked so glamorous on the runway, they were not so relaxed backstage. Ollie, help me button up. Zhang Qiao, your eye makeup is not done yet. Gu Xingyin only needed to walk one show and did not need to change clothes frequently. Moreover, Song Cici was not a famous designer. Her works were displayed in the backstage, so she did not need to be in a hurry. Gu Xingyin slowly walked through the crowd. A few familiar faces recognized her and were surprised, but they just nodded and smiled. They did not have the time to catch up. After walking out of the fitting room, Gu Xingyin walked towards the bathroom. Host, be careful. The system suddenly said. Gu Xingyin was thinking about other things and did not react for a moment. Someone walked over in a hurry and did not notice Gu Xingyin at all. Yes. Gu Xingyin groaned. There was a wall behind her. She was knocked back 2 steps and leaned against the wall to avoid the fate of falling. The other model also took a few steps back. Cecilia raised her head and glanced at Gu Xingyin. She confirmed that she had never seen this face before. At this time, the person who could appear here must be a model. However, she had never seen her before. Obviously, the other party was not a famous model. Cecilia looked at Gu Xingyin again. The latter's figure and face made her feel a sense of crisis. She raised her head reservedly and looked at Gu Xingyin. She preemptively said, "Don't you look in front of you when you walk. I will be representing Pol in the show soon. If I fall and affect my performance, can you bear the responsibility?" To be honest, Gu Xingyin hadn't experienced being questioned like this for a long time. No matter if it was her or Wan Kei's body. She glanced at the model and found her vaguely familiar. At this moment, the system spoke, Cecilia, Spanish, professional model. So it was her. She was supposed to be the model for Song Cici's fashion show. At this time, Cecilia was not yet the top supermodel she would be in the future. She was just a little famous. Gu Xingyin glanced at her and said, "If my memory serves me right, Miss Cecilia was the one who bumped into me." Cecilia was surprised that the other party knew her name. Soon after, she proudly thought that her reputation had spread far and wide. Thinking of this, she was in a very good mood. She didn't intend to trouble Gu Xingyin anymore. She rolled her eyes at her and impatiently walked past Gu Xingyin to leave. Originally, this matter should have ended like this. However, when Cecilia passed by Gu Xingyin, the former said a very clear sentence in Gu Xingyin's ear. "Bitch of Z country." Gu Xingyin's face suddenly turned cold. Her voice was extremely cold. "Stop." Cecilia originally intended to ignore her, but an inexplicable feeling from the other party made her stop. Wan Kei's height was about the same as Cecilia's, but Cecilia felt like she was a rabbit facing a cheetah when she saw Wan Kei's aura. This was the aura of a top supermodel. The other party was just an unknown model. How could she have such an aura? Cecilia was in a cold sweat. Chapter 128. Gu Xingyin looked at her coldly. "Miss Cecilia, please apologize to me for what you said just now. This was a public area. There were so many models backstage. It was impossible that no one had seen what had just happened. However, no one stepped forward. It was obvious that they were just watching. Yuan Kai had a good temper, but it didn't mean that she didn't have a temper. If she let Cecilia go today, she would probably be ridiculed to death in tomorrow's news." Cecilia wanted to roll her eyes and arrogantly say, "Who do you think you are?" Or just leave. But when she met the other party's dark eyes, she couldn't help but feel afraid. She knew very well that she was completely suppressed by the other party. The longer this went on, the worse it would be for her. Cecilia knew this, but she couldn't apologize to such a woman. She didn't know where the courage came from. She suddenly rushed towards Gu Xingyin and pushed her hard. The system had already warned Gu Xingyin when it noticed that something was wrong with Cecilia. So this time, Gu Xingyin took a few steps back. She was ready to fall. Based on Cecilia's strength, she would definitely fall to the ground. However, Gu Xingyin, who was prepared by the system, could completely avoid the fall. But she didn't plan to avoid it. If she really fell down today, she could guarantee that Cecilia would be kicked out of Country Z with her tail between her legs the next day. Did she really think that she, Gu Xingyin, was so easy to take advantage of? But her plan couldn't keep up with the changes. A pair of arms caught her firmly. It was Ludwig. At the same time, Gu Xingyin smelled the familiar lotus fragrance on him. It was actually him. Gu Xingyin suddenly felt a little stuffy. She glared fiercely at Ludwig in a hidden corner. Ludwig thought that Gu Xingyin was still angry about what had happened. He touched his nose, but his hand didn't let go of Gu Xingyin's waist. Turning to Cecilia, who was stunned by this development, Ludwig's face instantly turned cold. "Do you have a problem with my partner?" Cecilia was really panicking this time. Who was Ludwig? She didn't know Yuan Kai, but she definitely knew Ludwig. His Majesty the King of the supermodel world. Not only that, the Gardner family had been in Western Europe for hundreds of years. Whether it was the financial street or the fashion industry, they had a great influence. She almost didn't think about it. She bowed deeply to Gu Xingyin. "I'm sorry, miss. I apologize for my behavior just now." However, Gu Xingyin only glanced at Ludwig. "My hand hurts." Ludwig immediately tensed up. "Where? Let me see." He didn't even look at Cecilia, who was standing there with a pale face. He helped Gu Xingyin to a lounge. Gu Xingyin knew that this was a private lounge as soon as she entered. She glanced at Ludwig and had a new estimation of his influence. A person who could have an independent lounge at Tsinghua Fashion Week was definitely not as simple as a supermodel. It seemed that every time her lover was reincarnated, he was treated better than her, the protagonist. Gu Xingyin was deep in thought. At this time, the system chose to play dead. Chapter 129. Where are you hurt? Ludwig's words interrupted her thoughts. Gu Xingyin just didn't want to talk to Cecilia, so she made up a random excuse. But when he asked, she really did feel a dull pain in her right elbow. She raised her arm, and sure enough, her elbow was bruised. Yuan Kai's skin was very white and delicate. The bruise looked very scary. Sure enough, Ludwig's face fell. In his heart, Cecilia's modeling career had been sentenced to death. But he didn't say anything. He just turned around and took a bottle of medicine, carefully applying it on Gu Xingyin. "Be gentle, it hurts." Gu Xingyin glared at him. Knowing that he was her lover, Gu Xingyin wasn't so polite to him. Ludwig was very happy. He always felt that the woman in front of him was wearing a mask when she treated him. Now, she was the real her. A cool feeling came from the place where the medicine was applied, effectively relieving the pain. Looking at Gu Xingyin's relaxed expression, Ludwig suddenly leaned forward and asked, "You're not angry anymore, right? Back to 2 days ago." Ludwig looked at Gu Xingyin and said seriously, "Don't worry. Miss Heroine, I fell in love with you at first sight." Gu Xingyin was expressionless. All love at first sight is just hooliganism. Ludwig, ? Gu Xingyin, do you think I'm beautiful? Ludwig didn't understand and nodded. Gu Xingyin, do you have a good impression of me when you see me? Ludwig still didn't understand and nodded again. Gu Xingyin spread her hands. "See, your so-called love at first sight is just because of my face." Ludwig felt that something was wrong, but he didn't know how to refute. At this moment, Gu Xingyin's eyes suddenly lit up as she looked in a certain direction. "Do you think that Persian cat is pretty?" Ludwig didn't like these little things, but seeing that Gu Xingyin liked them so much, he nodded. Gu Xingyin turned her head and smiled brightly. "Then go and buy it. Fall in love with it at first sight." After he finished speaking, he picked up his bag and left in one go. The time reversal was complete. Gu Xingyin saw the nervousness hidden deep in the man's eyes. She laughed inwardly and shook her head. Ludwig breathed a sigh of relief. He looked at Gu Xingyin again. "What about my confession?" Westerners were just that straightforward. Although Gu Xingyin knew that he was her lover, she did not intend to let him go so easily. "Ludwig, I don't think we're suitable." She sighed. The man was clearly hurt. "Why?" Gu Xingyin's answer was simple. "I don't have any feelings for you." Ludwig did not give up. "As far as I know, you don't have a lover. Since that's the case, why won't you give me a chance?" Gu Xingyin was unmoved. "Ludwig, some things can't be forced. Feelings aren't something you can have just because you want to." She looked at the man with a sincere gaze. "Look, you're so handsome and rich. There are so many girls who like you, and there are many who are more outstanding than me. Why don't you consider them?" The system, who had been secretly watching, thought, "The spicy host is getting worse and worse." "I feel sorry for Ludwig." Ludwig suddenly looked at Gu Xingyin and smiled. "You're right. Feelings can't be forced. There are so many girls, but I only have feelings for you." He did not give Gu Xingyin time to react. He leaned over and covered her mouth. After the kiss, he looked at the dizzy Gu Xingyin. "Now, do you have feelings for me?" Chapter 130. Mei Luan sat in the guest seat and frowned at the models on the stage. To be honest, the quality of the Tsinghua Fashion Week was not bad, but there were no eye-catching works. The old luxury brands continued with their usual style, and there were no breakthroughs or innovations. He was a professional reviewer, but this time, he didn't have the desire to write. He thought that this would be the end of the Fashion Week. At most, he would look forward to the last design until he saw the female model appear. The crowd suddenly quieted down, and then there was the sound of shutters. Gu Xingyin walked out in her ice domain. Under the stage lights, she really looked like the Ice Queen who had descended from the mysterious Ice Goddess temple. She wore a crown woven from snow and held a scepter carved from ice. Step by step, she walked into the human world. From far to near, it was like a dream. Her clothes were very cold and luxurious, but she was even colder and more noble. It seemed that the whole venue was cold because of her appearance. It was the end of summer, but some people could not help but wrap their arms around her. Mei Luan did not even want to blink. He was afraid of missing any details. When Gu Xingyin turned around and disappeared behind the scenes, he could not help but breathe a sigh of relief. He knew who the model was, Heroine, the favorite of the modeling industry 4 years ago. Later, she turned to film and television. He did not expect that after 4 years, she would appear on the runway again. Mei Luan thought that he knew what to write for this week's review. Mei Luan, who was already satisfied, did not know that there was a bigger surprise waiting for him. This time, the shutters were pressed more urgently, as if the photographers could not wait to use up all the film in a few seconds. There was only one person who could be so favored by them, Ludwig Gardner. Mei Luan felt that his eyes were not enough. It was obvious that Ludwig's clothes were the same as Huankai's, but they were dressed in different styles. Huankai was the empress, so she was arrogant, cold, disdainful, and insufferably noble. On the other hand, Ludwig was a knight. He was handsome, loyal, and powerful. He only had one person in his eyes. The atmosphere at the scene had reached a climax, especially for the media. They had already written the headlines for tomorrow. Melon knew that there was still a big show waiting for him. Sure enough, the empress, who had left the stage earlier, walked up to the stage with her knight. There was no doubt that Ludwig was the #1 male supermodel. When he fully unleashed his aura, he could almost suppress most people. Today, everyone could see that Ludwig was in his best condition. But even so, Gu Xingyin, who stood beside him, was not inferior at all. No one could ignore her standing beside Ludwig. This was Her Majesty. The photographers were suddenly glad that they had not used up all their film. Otherwise, they would have nowhere to cry. At this moment, Ludwig suddenly made an unexpected move. When he walked to the front of the stage, he suddenly turned around, knelt on one knee, took Gu Xingyin's hand, and kissed it gently. "Your knight will always be loyal to you, Your Majesty the Empress." This scene had already made many people scream in a low voice. Her Majesty lowered her head, looked at the knight, and smiled slightly. "I allow you to offer your loyalty, my knight. You belong to me only." Chapter 131. The model who was supposed to be in the limelight had been ignored. Everyone's attention was on Gu Xingyin and Ludwig. Of course, a small number of people from another field paid attention to the designer of the outfit. The forum had exploded. This is the 4th replay. Her Majesty the Queen is so beautiful. Oh my God. Her Majesty the Queen's disdainful gaze. Please accept my kneel. Her Majesty the Queen, I want to carry your shoes. As a man, I have to admit that when Her Majesty the Queen glanced at me, I was shamefully hard. 120th comment. Be careful not to get beaten to death. 120th comment. You have to be careful. I have always been a staunch supporter of Feng Ku. No matter what happened, my beliefs never wavered. However, after watching this video, my heart has become a member of the Double Kings faction. I have let down the organization. Upstairs, I forgive you because I have also become a member of the Double Kings faction. Goodbye, I will remain a member of the Double Kings faction for 10,000 years. Feng Ku faction is here. If you are not convinced, come and fight. Her Majesty the Queen only walked a show. Don't forget that her main business is now the big screen. Long live our Feng Ku faction. It wasn't just the forum. Huankai's Weibo was also exploding. After leaving the stage, Ludwig found Gu Xingyin. The road outside is blocked by reporters and fans. Your agent is in front to deal with them. Come with me. Ludwig pulled Gu Xingyin into an inconspicuous car. When the two of them passed by, they happened to see a man with a figure similar to Gu Xingyin's, wearing sunglasses and a baseball cap. He was hurriedly moving under Chen Rong's cover, and he was soon drowned out by a swarm of reporters. After leaving, they looked at each other and smiled. At this time, Gu Xingyin received a call from Sister Chen. Hey, Kei, your fans are crazy. Don't go out for a few days. If you are blocked, it will be difficult to get away. All the media were looking for them. They wanted to get first-hand information. After hanging up, Ludwig raised his eyebrows. "Did your agent ask you to go back?" Gu Xingyin nodded. Although Ludwig was a little disappointed, he understood. He drove to Gu Xingyin's apartment. When he left, he suddenly leaned over and kissed Gu Xingyin's face. "Although you haven't accepted me yet, I won't give up." He pointed at his chest. "There's only room for you in here." Pausing for a moment, he continued domineeringly, "Then, you can only have me in your heart." He thought of those couples he saw on the forum and said hatefully, "Those Fang Ming, Zhang Qiao, Xie, and so on, you are not allowed to be tempted by them." Gu Xingyin didn't know whether to laugh or cry. This man, even if he didn't have those reincarnation memories, his possessiveness towards her was always so strong. Gu Xingyin rested comfortably at home for almost a week. As expected, almost half of the fashion magazines published her and Ludwig's catwalk photos. All the magazines were sold out, and the printers couldn't stop smiling. Especially the scene of Ludwig kneeling on one knee. She was called, "the only woman who can conquer His Majesty," by the media. At the same time, invitations from major brands and interviews from various fashion magazines were all rejected by Chen Rong. In the end, the annoyed Chen Rong asked for Gu Xingyin's permission and released a statement in the name of Heroine. She said that this runway show was just for a friend and that she had no intention of returning to the fashion industry. The craze slowly subsided. Chapter 132. Tsinghua Film City. As the largest film and television base in the country, there were fans waiting for their idol's schedule here almost every day. Ming Shujia wore sunglasses and walked over slowly with her assistant. Many people knew she was a celebrity based on her outfit. They looked at her with interest, but when they realized they didn't know her, they turned back out of boredom. Ming Shujia bit her lips in embarrassment. She comforted herself, "One day, I won't be like this anymore." "It's Heroine Kei. Kei, I love you." When she was about to enter, she heard many people exclaiming in low voices. She stopped in her tracks, turned around, and saw an extremely tall woman get out of the nanny van. The fans who had ignored her before now surrounded her as if they had won the lottery one by one. "Kei, please take a picture with me. I brought you a gift." "Your Majesty, I've been waiting here for more than 10 days since I heard you were going to shoot a movie." Gu Xingyin was familiar with this situation. She patiently took a picture with the fans. As for the gifts, Chen Rong would choose which ones she should accept and which she shouldn't. Gu Xingyin felt someone's gaze on her. She looked over and saw a figure leaving. Ming Shujia. The system told her before, Ming Shujia got a supporting role in Divinity. It seemed that she was here to prepare for the shoot. Gu Xingyin smiled. She knew that Ming Shujia was a narrow-minded person who thought highly of herself. She always felt that she wasn't famous enough because she hadn't met a director who appreciated her. For people like Heroine Kei, she was envious of their natural good looks. On the other hand, she despised them for relying on their looks to make a living. Unfortunately, her current role was something she had exchanged for with her own body. She didn't know where her sense of superiority came from. When Gu Xingyin came to the set, almost all the actors stood up. Even Li Fengyun greeted her with a smile. An actress like Heroine Kei had good looks, excellent acting skills, and a high status. Most importantly, she didn't put on airs. Which director wouldn't like such an easygoing actress? Ming Shujia looked at those popular artists smiling in front of Heroine Kei. She looked at Director Li and Heroine Kei, who had been talking and laughing since she came in. She looked at the group of people accompanying Heroine Kei's assistant. The stars revolved around the moon. Ever since he came to this body, what was it that he had been trying so hard to obtain? Wasn't it all because of this status and the sense of superiority of being the moon surrounded by the stars? Gu Xingyin saw Ming Shujia walk up to her with a shy smile. "Hello, Sister Kei." I'm Ming Shujia, a newcomer. Nice to meet you. Even if she, Ming Shujia, had been struggling in the entertainment industry for so long, she was just an 18th-tier celebrity. In front of Ruan Kui, wasn't she just a newcomer? Gu Xingyin glanced at her. He had to admit that Ming Shujia's temperament was just like her name, clear, sweet, innocent, and harmless. Just by looking at her appearance, no one would think that she would force herself to accompany a man who was 1 or 2 rounds older than her in order to climb up the social ladder. Sure enough, one couldn't judge a book by its cover. Gu Xingyin returned her smile. She knew that Ming Shujia had put a lot of effort into this movie. She hoped that she could rely on this movie to make a comeback. In fact, she had done it in the original plot. However, the one acting with her now was Gu Xingyin. Ming Shujia wanted to finish this movie so smoothly, but it still depended on whether Gu Xingyin agreed. Chapter 133. Divinity told the story of the primordial era, where humans, demons, goblins, and other races fought for luck and resources. They fought and killed each other, causing the world to be filled with misery. That era was treacherous, and everyone had strong spiritual power. They killed without restraint, angering the laws and even sending down heavenly punishment as a warning. However, the races that were in a killing frenzy couldn't stop. If they continued, all the races would disappear under the heavenly punishment. In the end, the queen of the goblins, Shen, used the goblins' treasure, the star compass, as a guide and sacrificed herself to cast a curse. Dissipating the spiritual power of the humans, robbing the intelligence of the goblins, and banishing the demons to the other side of the endless abyss. As for the goblins, they lost the right to set foot on this land forever. They built a beautiful city in the 9 heavens, but could only look at their homeland with melancholy. Gu Xingyin was playing the role of the queen of the goblins, Shen. Ming Shujia was playing the role of the spirit of the star compass, Shen Yin's magical weapon. As a magical weapon with its own consciousness, the star compass was arrogant and naive. In the entire continent, it only obeyed the orders of its master, the queen of the goblins, Shen. This role wasn't easy to play. Director Lee originally wanted to find a popular actress with better acting skills to play this role, but Ming Shujia's financial backer had invested a large sum of money in the crew, so he agreed to let her play this role. However, if Ming Shujia's acting skills were really bad, Director Lee wouldn't mind changing the role again. The whole morning's filming went smoothly. At noon, after everyone had lunch, they rested for a while and started filming again. Ming Shujia was a little nervous. In the afternoon, there was a scene between the star compass and the queen. "Xing, you went to tease your people again?" Gu Xingyin's face was dignified. Although there was a hint of reproach in her tone, there was also a hint of doting as she looked at the spirit of the star compass. "Those guys are all so cowardly." Ming Shujia was suddenly at a loss for words. She clearly remembered her lines and this scene wasn't difficult, but for some reason, under Gu Xingyin's calm gaze, she couldn't say anything. "Cut. Again." Director Lee frowned and looked at Ming Shujia, but he didn't say anything. "They all know that you're the artifact spirit of a divine artifact, so they deliberately let you have your way. You are already several tens of thousands of years old. Why are you still so mischievous?" Ming Shujia said subconsciously, "Humph. Who asked them to yield? If I were to make a move, they would all fall one by one." "Cut. Ming Shujia, what about your feelings? I'm not asking you to read your lines. You're acting. Your expression makes me feel like you're reading the text." Director Lee was a little angry. This scene actually didn't require much acting skills. If Ming Shujia couldn't even pass this, there was no need to talk about the rest of the scenes. "It's not like this. It shouldn't be like this." Ming Shujia was very confused. She knew that her level was not limited to this. When she was at home, she had repeatedly practiced in front of the mirror countless times. There was no such thing as forgetting her lines or blanking out. I'm sorry, Director Lee. I'll be careful. She sincerely apologized to Director Lee, then smiled apologetically at Gu Xingyin. Sister Kui, I'll have to trouble you. Gu Xingyin smiled indifferently. Prepare well first. Don't be impatient. Ming Shujia took a deep breath. Finally, this scene was over. She subconsciously looked at Gu Xingyin. The other party just smiled at her. Chapter 134. Host, you're so bad, the system said to Gu Xingyin. Gu Xingyin took a bottle of water from the assistant and slowly took a sip. From the corner of her eye, she saw Ming Shujia reading the script. The system was speechless. Gu Xingyin was suppressing Ming Shujia. Ming Shujia's acting skills were not bad, but she was still far from Gu Xingyin's ability. If Gu Xingyin really wanted to suppress her, she could definitely make her unable to say a word. However, that would be too obvious. Gu Xingyin only used a little trick to maintain a level where Director Li couldn't see through it, and Ming Shujia was clearly affected. Probably because Ruan Kui's reputation was too good and there had never been any rumors of her suppressing a newcomer, no one suspected her. Even Ming Shujia herself put the blame on herself. It was also Gu Xingyin's intention to film the last scene. If she kept suppressing Ming Shujia, with Director Li's temper, it was very likely that he would directly replace her. Although she had achieved her goal, wouldn't it be a lot less fun? She looked at Ming Shujia, who was frowning. It made her feel unbearable pain, but at the same time, she still had a glimmer of hope. She was like a drowning person holding onto a piece of driftwood. In the end, it was useless to let her find out. Even if she held on to the piece of driftwood, it was a vast ocean with few people. Even if she didn't drown, she would die of thirst or starvation. There was no chance of survival. This way, when she finally found out, she would be even more desperate and in pain. Ming Shujia, aren't you very good at trampling people under your feet and never letting them turn over? Then let's let you have a taste of this feeling as well. The system, which was familiar with the host's thoughts, silently lit a candle for Ming Shujia. When they were done, Gu Xingyin, who came out of the fitting room, heard a few staff members whispering. I wonder what he's here for. Oh my God, he's so handsome up close. She already had a guess in her heart. Sure enough, when he walked out, he saw a tall man standing beside Director Li, talking to him in a low voice. Kai. Ludwig saw her and revealed a handsome smile. Gu Xingyin heard the sound of saliva being swallowed behind her. She secretly glared at the man who was attracting bees and butterflies. She walked over and asked in surprise, Director Li and Ludwig know each other? Ludwig smiled and said, I'm a fan of Director Li's films. I have all of Director Li's films in my collection. What are you doing here? Gu Xingyin asked. Firstly, I heard that Director Li is filming here, so I came over to meet my idol, Ludwig said in all seriousness. Secondly. Ludwig glanced at her. I thought you knew. Director Li looked at the two of them with a smile and instantly understood what Ludwig meant. He looked at Gu Xingyin and teased, I've never heard of you having a close relationship with a man. So it's because you're hiding it too well? Gu Xingyin hurriedly said, Director Li, don't misunderstand. It's not what you think it is. Ludwig didn't care. Kai is right. We're just friends for now. But I'm pursuing her. If our relationship changes one day, I'll definitely thank you. Gu Xingyin was too lazy to talk nonsense with him and walked away. Ludwig hurriedly said goodbye to Director Li and chased after her. Chapter 135. The next day, the news of Ruan Kui and supermodel Ludovic's relationship hit the headlines. However, neither of them had any intention of answering this question, and the media couldn't find them. Host, when do you plan to accept Ludovic's pursuit? the system asked curiously. Gu Xingyin was painting her nails. She glanced at the system and said, "That depends on my mood." The system didn't understand. The host clearly liked her lover. Why didn't she get together with him when she already knew his identity? Gu Xingyin didn't want to explain to the system what it meant to be Sundra. As the treasure of the Protoss, you should know that the star compass is related to the fate of the Protoss. If it falls into the hands of others, the consequences will be severe. Divine Sound Queen's face was frosty. She slammed her hand on the table and stood up, looking sternly at Xing Luo's weapon spirit in front of her. In this scene, Xing Luo's weapon spirit was about to sneak out of the Protoss forbidden area to play, but was discovered by Divine Sound Queen and enraged. Ming Shujia knew that she should refute, but Gu Xingyin was in a rage, and she couldn't say a word. Cut. Director Li didn't look at Ming Shujia kindly. Gu Xingyin's aura, expression, and body language were all on point. He almost couldn't help but cheer. Who knew that when it came to Ming Shujia, it would be cut? Anyone would be furious. Again. As the treasure of the Protoss, you should know that the star compass is related to the fate of the Protoss. If it falls into the hands of others, the consequences will be severe. I. Ming Shujia was so anxious that she was about to cry, but she really couldn't say anything. This time, before Director Li got angry, she took the initiative to apologize. Director Li, please give me another chance. Her tone was very humble. She knew that if her performance displeased the director, with his temper, it was very likely that he would replace her. Director Li gave her a chance, but Ming Shujia didn't take it. Cut. This scene will be paused for now. Kui, you go and rest. Zhang Qiao, Su Ruyan, you two get ready for the next scene. Director Li pointed at the two actors standing on the other side. He turned to Ming Shujia and said, "Think about the script for me for the next 2 days. 2 days later, I'll let you try again. If you can't do it, you don't have to come again." Ming Shujia bit her lips and nodded. She walked over to Gu Xingyin and said, "Sister Kui, can I trouble you to help me practice my acting for the next 2 days?" As soon as she said that, the actors who were preparing next to her looked over in disbelief. Who did Ming Shujia think she was? She actually dared to ask the award-winning Best Actress to practice with her. Gu Xingyin was also surprised. It seemed that Ming Shujia really had nowhere to go. But, helping a small-time actress rehearse. Yuan Kui wasn't that cheap, and she wasn't prepared to raise Ming Shujia's value like that. "I'm really sorry. I have scenes for the next 2 days, and I have a job to do tomorrow afternoon. I'm afraid I don't have time." Gu Xingyin smiled very politely, and her rejection was also very swift. After Gu Xingyin got up and left, someone next to her sneered, "Some people, just because they found a sugar daddy, they really think they have a lot of face. You want the award-winning Best Actress to practice with you? Do you know how much Sister Kui is worth?" The fact that Ming Shujia got in through the back door wasn't a secret in the crew. Although she was low-key and worked hard during this time, a few actors still couldn't stand her. Ming Shujia lowered her head, and her nails dug into her palms, letting the piercing pain stimulate her emotions. "These people, looking down on me, one day, I'll make you regret it." Chapter 136. When Gu Xingyin saw Ming Shujia again, she was obviously shocked. The Ming Shujia in front of her was pale, and even her makeup couldn't hide her haggard expression. It seemed that she hadn't been living comfortably for the past 2 days. After all, she had paid such a high price to get the role. If it was replaced because of her, she wouldn't be able to accept it. How pitiful. Gu Xingyin sighed. The system felt a sense of crisis. It was just about to remind the host not to be fooled by Ming Shujia's appearance when Gu Xingyin continued. "I really want to see her even more pitiful." Gu Xingyin sighed. "System, It was obvious that Ming Shujia had worked very hard for the past 2 days, but it was useless. Cut. Director Li frowned and called for a stop. He said to Ming Shujia, "I've already made myself clear 2 days ago. You can go now. Don't come back tomorrow." Ming Shujia's face was pale. She was almost crying as she begged Director Li to give her another chance. However, Director Li was obviously used to such situations. He wasn't moved at all. He just asked the stage supervisor to take her away. No one spoke up to plead for her. Ming Shujia looked at everyone present one by one. One day, there would be someone like this. These people would kneel at her feet and beg her in tears like today. If Gu Xingyin knew what she was thinking, she would definitely ask, "Where did you get your confidence from?" Ming Shujia's role was eventually taken over by a rather famous actress with solid acting skills. There weren't any more mistakes, and Director Li's expression relaxed. In the following days, Gu Xingyin ran between the set and home every day. Other than Ludwig, who persistently called her every day to harass her, she was so busy that she didn't have time to talk to anyone else. Until the movie was finished. It's finally over. Su Ruyun, who was in the same crew, let out a long sigh of relief. Everyone was deeply moved. The movie, Divinity, involved a lot of battle scenes. Not only did the actors have to hang from wires, but there were also many scenes where they had to roll around in the water and on the ground. Director Li also revealed a smile. "Today is the Cloud Sky Hotel. It's my treat." Oh. Director Li is indeed generous. The next night, the entire crew arrived at the Cloud Sky Hotel. Cheers. I wish you all the best at the box office. One by one, the drunkards were brought home by their respective managers. Gu Xingyin slept for several days before she felt that she was finally alive again. Of course, she was mainly shocked by a piece of news. The young master of Exploding Star Entertainment has a new lover. Star Entertainment's young master Yuxiang Xinhuan knows about Shujia's past. Gu Xingyin commented as she watched, "This woman, Ming Shujia, is really an unkillable cockroach. Her past has already been exposed, yet she still managed to hook up with the young master of Star Entertainment." Whether it was Yu Xiang who didn't care about her past or Ming Shujia who made Yu Xiang believe that those reports were false, it proved that this woman had extraordinary means. Sure enough, Wan Kai saw Ming Shujia in the company the next day. Compared to a few days ago, Ming Shujia's entire temperament was different. Gu Xingyin glanced at her. She was dressed from head to toe in big brands, and the makeup on her face was exquisite and appropriate. Where was the haggard look from before? Chapter 137. Sister Kai. Ming Shujia took the initiative to greet Gu Xingyin. Gu Xingyin smiled faintly at her. Ming Shujia pretended to caress the hair on her right cheek carelessly. When she moved, the exquisite lady's watch on her wrist was revealed. It was a limited edition lady's watch from CM, worth 7 figures. Gu Xingyin followed her wishes and her gaze paused on the watch. Ming Shujia smiled happily. Sister Kai, have you seen this watch before? Gu Xingyin revealed a perfect smile. Before I entered the film industry, I was CM's global spokesperson. Now, I still have many custom-made watches at home. Ming Shujia's face suddenly turned ugly. She originally wanted to show off, but she didn't expect to be slapped in the face. I still have something to do, Sister Kai. I'll leave first. She asked for a snub, so of course, she didn't want to stay here. Chen Rong curled her lips in disdain at Gu Xingyin. This Ming Shujia hasn't gained a firm foothold yet, but she can't wait to show off. She won't be able to achieve great things. Gu Xingyin didn't think so. In the original plot, Ming Shujia wasn't like this. Now, perhaps because she had suffered too many blows, she couldn't wait to prove herself. Let's go. Ming Shujia walked out of the door and saw Yu Xiyang waiting at the side. Yu Xiyang was a famous playboy in the entertainment industry. As the young master of Star Entertainment, at least half of the female artists in Star Entertainment had been involved in scandals with him. Of course, Yu Xiyang was quite a gentleman. He paid attention to mutual consent. If they were really unwilling, he would never force them. Xiyang. Ming Shujia called out sweetly. But he didn't hug her like he usually did. Xiyang, what's wrong? Ming Shujia was puzzled. You went to find Wuxia today? Yu Xiyang looked at her with an unfathomable expression. He was undoubtedly good-looking. He was the kind of handsome that showed off his abilities. When he smiled, he had a mischievous look that was very popular with girls. But at this moment, when his face darkened, it was somewhat frightening. Ming Shujia revealed a sweet smile. It's just that I received Sister Kui's care on the set before, so I went to say hello. Yu Xiyang sneered, Ming Shujia, don't show off your little tricks in front of me. Who is Wuxia? Even I have to be polite to her. You're just a woman who relied on me to gain a foothold in Star Entertainment, so what right do you have to show off in front of her? I'm warning you, I don't care how you want to play, but remember, don't have any ideas about her. Ming Shujia's face was pale. After a while, she gave an ugly smile. I know. Seeing her like this, Yu Xiyang chuckled again. That's right. If you're obedient, I'll naturally give you what you want. Ming Shujia obediently leaned into his arms, hiding her resentful gaze in his arms. The next day, Gu Xingyin had nothing to do, so she turned off the alarm and fell asleep. Until the sound of the doorbell woke her up. Who is it? She didn't tidy up, so there weren't many people who knew that she lived in this apartment. The door opened, revealing Ludwig's handsome face. Ludwig looked at the woman in front of him with messy hair and sleepy eyes. He only felt that she was indescribably cute. What's the matter? Gu Xingyin closed the door and poured a glass of water for Ludwig. I'm leaving Country Z. Ludwig held the glass and looked at her. Chapter 138. Gu Xingyin immediately woke up from his sleepiness. She glanced at Ludwig and calmly said, I'll go wash up first. Soon, she walked out and the two of them sat face to face. Kui, you know how I feel about you. Ludwig looked at her seriously. I hope you can accept me. Gu Xingyin glanced at him. Indeed, Ludwig had done enough in the past 6 months. Gu Xingyin tilted her head and looked at him. Then, you said you like me. What kind of like is it? Ludwig looked at Gu Xingyin in disbelief. What did she mean? Of course it's like I want to marry you and spend the rest of my life with you. No, it's love. I love you. Ludwig said affectionately. Gu Xingyin looked at him with some disdain. I can't see your sincerity. Ludwig was a little anxious. No, Kui, I swear, my heart is absolutely loyal to you. I'm not afraid of being laughed at by you, but before you, I've never been moved by any woman, and I don't know how to pursue a girl. Maybe I'm not good enough, but you have to believe in my feelings for you. Gu Xingyin quietly listened to him and didn't say anything. Ludwig felt that he had never been so nervous. He stared at Gu Xingyin, hoping that she would open her mouth to reply to his words, but he was afraid to hear a heartless rejection from those red lips. Gu Xingyin saw that he had been teased enough and finally decided to show mercy and let him go. She frowned in confusion. Is that so? But I heard that when people confess, they have to kneel on one knee and give the ring. Ludwig spent 2 seconds laughing at the meaning behind Gu Xingyin's words. Then, he stood up almost ecstatically, hugged Gu Xingyin and kissed her. Wait here, I'll ask them to send the ring over in the afternoon. For the rest of the day, Ludwig stayed in Gu Xingyin's apartment. The two of them sat together quietly, occasionally chatting and kissing. When the doorbell rang, Ludwig was wearing an apron and making dinner for Gu Xingyin. Gu Xingyin got up to open the door. It was an unknown blonde foreigner with closed eyes. "Who are you?" Gu Xingyin asked cautiously. Ludwig walked out. "Don't worry, I asked him to come over." Gu Xingyin noticed that the man's expression seemed to twist when he saw Ludwig wearing an apron. The man handed a box to Ludwig. The two of them whispered a few words, and the foreign man left. "Kai, go to the bedroom and stay there. Come out in 10 minutes, Ludwig said to her. Having guessed what the man was going to do, Gu Xingyin obediently walked into the bedroom. Until Ludwig called for her to come out. There was an exquisite dinner on the table, but what attracted Gu Xingyin was the man standing at the table. He held a bouquet of delicate roses in his arms and looked at her affectionately. "Because of time constraints, I can't give you a perfect proposal." Ludwig was obviously a little guilty. "But I can't wait any longer, Kai." He knelt down on one knee and slowly extended a hand to Gu Xingyin. In his hand, there was a simple jewelry box. Inside, there was a gorgeous emerald ring that shone brightly. Chapter 139. So, the rings of the Gardner family heirs will be divided into a pair. Ludwig looked at Gu Xingyin. "Kai, are you willing to be the future mistress of the Gardner family?" Gu Xingyin's answer was to extend his hand with a smile. Ludwig excitedly put it on for her. Then, he stood up and kissed her fiercely. Both of them were a little out of breath. Ludwig hugged Gu Xingyin and pressed his forehead against hers. "I know that today's proposal is really hard on you. Kai, just you wait. I will definitely give you the grandest wedding." Gu Xingyin looked at him and smiled. "You should know that I don't care about this. But I care." Ludwig looked at her seriously. "In my heart, you deserve the best." Gu Xingyin took a picture of the food with her phone and posted it on Weibo. In the picture, there was a pair of hands clasped together with a sentence, "Love dinner, please bless us." Smile, of course, she didn't take the picture of the ring. She wasn't afraid of publicizing their relationship, but Ludwig stopped her. "Wait a moment. When I go back this time, I will start preparing for our wedding. Give me a month. After a month, I will come to Z country and announce our marriage with you. I don't want anyone to question our relationship." Gu Xingyin chose to believe him and was a little touched. This man was really trying his best to give her the best care. Wan Kai's Weibo immediately exploded. "Oh my god, I was caught off guard. I'm full of dog food. Is today April Fool's Day? Your Majesty, who is that man? Who is that man? Although the goddess is in love and not with me, I still wish her the best. Although the goddess is in love and not with me, I still wish her the best. Although the goddess is in love and not with me, I still wish her the best. I just want to know who that lucky man is. Ah. Upstairs, I want to know too. Oh." Gu Xingyin soon received a call from Chenrong. "You two are together." Chenrong's voice was very certain. She had always known that Ludwig was pursuing Gu Xingyin. Gu Xingyin gave her an affirmative answer. Chenrong took a deep breath. Fortunately, she was prepared for this and was not caught off guard. In less than an hour, the news of "Movie Queen Wan Kai announces her relationship" became the trending topic. Almost everyone was guessing who the owner of the hand that was intertwined with Wan Kai's was. Fan guesses included Fang Ming, Zhang Qiao, and the others who had been a couple with her before. Ludwig was also guessed by netizens, but everyone was just guessing casually. After Gu Xingyin was severely punished by a jealous man, she had no choice but to post another Weibo, "Everyone, don't make wild guesses. He's not from the entertainment industry. When the time is right, I'll tell everyone." She was trying to change the meaning of her words. She was referring to someone who was not in the entertainment industry. When people read her words, they would subconsciously replace it with the word entertainment industry. This way, it would be even more difficult to guess who the man was. Ludwig left after accompanying her for dinner. He had returned to the country this time to deal with something, so he had to leave the next day. On the 20th day of Ludwig's departure from Z country, Divinity began screening. It was like an unstoppable hurricane. Divinity quickly occupied everyone's attention with an unstoppable momentum and even swept the world. Chapter 140. At the celebration banquet for Divinity. In fact, even director Li Fengyun didn't expect that Divinity would be so popular. The top management of Star Entertainment came. As the biggest investor of this movie, Star Entertainment was undoubtedly the biggest winner. Gu Xingyin wasn't bad either. Not to mention how high her salary was. In the original agreement, she had a 5% share of the box office. It was estimated that she would get 9 figures. Moreover, as the first female lead of Divinity and the soul of the whole movie, she almost stole everyone's limelight today. Ming Shujia also appeared at this banquet. But her identity was Yu Xiang's female companion. With her status, it was not her turn to be at this kind of occasion. Gu Xingyin shuttled among the major investors, smiling like a flower and clinking glasses with people. Ming Shujia saw the investor who introduced her to the crew of Divinity. He was smiling kindly, holding a glass of champagne and raising his glass to Gu Xingyin. Miss Heroine is about the same age as my daughter. She is still a little girl who only cares about all kinds of famous brands. Miss Heroine has already made such a big career. She is really young and promising. Gu Xingyin politely clinked glasses with him. Miss Yuan is naive and romantic. Mr. Yuan is lucky. His words made everyone laugh heartily. The businessman surnamed Yuan turned his head and saw Ming Shujia. He seemed surprised. Looking at Yu Xiang beside her, he showed a meaningful smile. Ming Shujia pretended not to see it. She looked at Gu Xingyin, who was graceful and decent in the crowd. They were the same age, but she was already deep in the mud, dealing with all kinds of men just to give herself a chance to stand out. But what about Wan Ke? Even if she stayed at home and did nothing, there would be a lot of big productions that others couldn't even imagine. They would invite her. Whether she participated or not depended on her mood. She accompanied the men she didn't like and pretended to be polite, but Wan Ke could show her love so generously. Why? She finally had a chance to start over. Did she come to Ming Shujia's body to compare herself to others' glory and see her misery? Yu Xiang saw her eyes on Wan Ke and pulled her aside. What are you thinking? Don't think you can hide it well. The jealousy in your eyes is about to burst out. He scoffed and warned her, let me tell you, there are many people in the entertainment industry who are jealous of Wan Ke. But until now, no one has been able to surpass her. The two of you are not from the same world to begin with. It's best that you put away your petty thoughts. After that, he ignored her and walked toward an investor. Kai. Gu Xingyin felt a little dizzy, she had drunk a little too much tonight. Hearing this voice, she frowned without batting an eyelid. Zhou Chuancheng, the scumbag in the original plot who colluded with Ming Shujia and set her up to marry Wan Ke but didn't cherish her. Of course, at this moment, he was still the rich man who was chasing after Gu Xingyin. Mr. Zhou, we're not that close. Gu Xingyin corrected him. Please call me Miss Heroine. Zhou Chuancheng felt very defeated. He thought that he was handsome and rich, and he had always been successful in love. The first time he saw Wan Ke, he was deeply attracted by this woman's special temperament. However, it had been nearly a year. No matter how he tried to please her, this woman still didn't give him any face. Chapter 141. Because Gu Xingyin did not cooperate, there was not much to talk about between them. Gu Xingyin turned to leave, but because of dizziness, her steps were unsteady and she accidentally stepped on the hem of her skirt. Be careful. Zhou Chuanqing certainly would not let go of this opportunity and hugged her tightly. Gu Xingyin struggled out of his arms at the same time as she stood up. Thank you, Mr. Zhou. Yan Biao nodded and turned to leave. Zhou Chuanqing was left alone in the same place, and there seemed to be a lingering fragrance between his breaths. Gu Xingyin did not take this matter to heart. However, when she saw the report the next day, she knew that she had been defamed. A set of photos of herself and Zhou Chuanqing was posted online. The first one was the scene where she almost fell and was hugged by him yesterday. The angle of the photo was cleverly chosen. People who did not know the truth would think that the two of them were hugging each other affectionately. There were more than 10 photos following one after another, all of which were pictures of Ruan Ke and Zhou Chuanqing together. Gu Xingyin looked at the photos and wanted to praise the photographer's skills. Obviously, there was nothing ambiguous in the photos, but with the combination of the photos and a very suggestive article, it was as if Gu Xingyin and Zhou Chuanqing had been intimate for a long time. The man behind movie Queen Ruan Ke, the truth. Ruan Ke and young Master Zhou have been in a secret relationship for many years. Dig up Ruan Ke's love history. Gu Xingyin was a little confused. What was this person's purpose? Just to spread a rumor about her? Chen Rong obviously did not guess the other party's purpose. Of course, she knew that Gu Xingyin and Zhou Chuanqing had nothing to do with each other. If there was anything, it was just the man's unrequited love. She even called Gu Xingyin to comfort her. Don't worry, this kind of groundless report won't cause any trouble. However, just as the public relations of Star Entertainment released a statement saying that this was a false story, new revelations appeared on the internet. Ruan Ke you don't know about. Big news. Just the title of the post was enough to attract people's attention. The original poster used the news about Ruan Ke and Zhou Chuanqing as a starting point and linked it to the Weibo post that Gu Xingyin had posted not long ago. From that report, we can see that movie Queen Ruan and the young master of the Zhou Corporation have maintained an intimate relationship for at least a year. There must be many netizens who have guessed that movie Queen Ruan posted a photo on Weibo not long ago. Could it be the same person? Please analyze it for everyone. Then, the OP who claimed to be the informant started to dig up information in a very professional tone. He even made a list of Zhou Chuanqing's itinerary. In the end, he came to the conclusion that the man in Ruan Ke's photo with their fingers interlocked was definitely not Zhou Chuanqing. In that case, Ruan Ke was two-timing. This didn't match her usual image in the rumors. The original poster just saw that Star Entertainment's public relations has already released a statement saying that movie Queen Ruan and young Master Zhou have no intimate relationship. However, until now, I haven't seen any statement from the Zhou Corporation. Then, can the original poster understand that young Master Zhou has silently admitted to this matter? The original poster didn't stop there. He wrote a lot more after that, saying that Ruan Ke's private life was very messy before she became famous. She had a few boyfriends in the fashion industry and so on. He couldn't wait to expose Ruan Ke's 18 generations of ancestors. Once the post was posted, it caused a huge commotion. Chapter 142. Although the post was quickly deleted by Star Entertainment, it caused a huge reaction. Many fans ran to Ruan Ke's Weibo to curse, saying that they had been cheated of their feelings. Gu Xingyin browsed through the comments. There were definitely paid posters, but there were definitely a lot of fans. These people, yesterday they said that they would love you forever, but today they turned their backs and called you a bitch. Gu Xingyin thought that if the real Ruan Ke saw these words, how sad would she be? Chen Rong came over early to accompany her. Seeing her sitting there thinking about something, she thought that her mood was affected and comforted her, don't think too much. The company's public relations team has already done their best. This matter will be resolved. Her voice turned cold as she said, someone must be defaming you behind the scenes. If I can't find out who it is, just wait for Star Entertainment's anger. Star Entertainment acted quickly. They released a statement saying that in Yan Ming's previous post, the rumors about Wan Qi in the fashion industry and her private life were all false. Those so-called photos were all photoshopped products. They also stated that the original poster of the post had damaged the reputation of Star Entertainment's employees. They would submit a lawyer's letter to the court. However, the public's main concern was not answered. After Wan Qi posted the photo of her holding hands with her lover, there were also photos of her and Zhou Chuanqing being intimate. Star Entertainment denied it, but Zhou Chuanqing did not say anything. Star Entertainment's public relations team had contacted Zhou Chuanqing, but he refused to clarify the matter. If I hadn't experienced this, I wouldn't have known that Zhou Chuanqing was such a person. Chen Rong gritted her teeth in anger. He seemed like a good person before, but he's not even willing to help. Gu Xingyin was obviously calmer than her. After all, she already knew what kind of person Zhou Chuanqing was. At this time, Gu Xingyin received a call from Ludwig. "Kei, such a big thing happened, why didn't you tell me?" Gu Xingyin said with a smile, "You are abroad. What can you do if I tell you?" Ludwig heard her calm voice, as if she wasn't affected by public opinion. Only then did he feel relieved. "No matter what, you've suffered so much, and I'm not by your side. This is not a qualified boyfriend." Gu Xingyin chuckled and exchanged a few words with him. The other party seemed to be a little busy, so she hung up the phone. "Is it Ludwig?" Chen Rong asked. Gu Xingyin nodded. Chen Rong was originally a little worried, but when she saw Gu Xingyin smile, she knew that Ludwig hadn't distanced himself from her because of this matter. She couldn't help but worship her idol even more. This was a real man. Little did she know that her idol had yet to become even more manly. Just as the entire entertainment industry was in an uproar, and there were even anti-fans who were clamoring for the Ruan bitch to get out of the entertainment industry, a statement shocked the entire Z country's entertainment industry. "He is from Ludwig. I'm Ludwig Gardner, Kai's boyfriend. No, very soon, my identity will become her husband." In response to the public opinion on the internet, my response is that my legal team has already drafted a lawyer's letter to all media outlets that have maliciously slandered my lover. I hope that you will delete the relevant false rumors within 24 hours. Otherwise, we will meet in court. Kai and I have a very good relationship, and we are already preparing to get married. Furthermore, I have absolute confidence that my lover only loves me. I hope that everyone will stop discussing this matter. Thank you. Chapter 143. Ludwig's statement undoubtedly injected a new wave of energy into the fans who were still bitterly defending their idols. "Ah, it's Ludwig. My idol is so handsome." A wave of PDA in the middle of the night. "Although I was abused, I still want to say, well done. Hee, let's see if those mad dogs will still come out and bite people." I was originally on Fang Kei's side, but after seeing Ludwig's statement, I think I've fallen for him. A man who stands up for his woman at a critical moment is a real man. Above, Ludwig is a real man. Hee, who would be stupid enough to want a woman like Wan Qi? Above, you never brush your teeth. Why is your mouth so smelly? Curse your entire family. Less than 2 hours after the statement was posted, Ludwig arrived at Gu Xingyin's apartment. "Why are you here?" Gu Xingyin looked at him. The man's eyes were obviously bruised. It was obvious that he hadn't rested well on the way here. "How could I leave you here alone?" Ludwig reached out and hugged her. "Sorry, I'm late." Chen Rong tactfully retreated, not wanting to disturb the two. Gu Xingyin stayed in Ludwig's arms, feeling the corners of her eyes sting. To be honest, this situation didn't defeat her. What really moved her was this man's attitude. The person who truly cares about you is not the number of expensive gifts he can give you, but the fact that when you are being criticized, he is the first to stand up and protect you. To everyone's surprise, not long after Ludwig's statement was posted, Zhou Chuanqing also released a statement, stating that there was no ambiguous relationship between him and Wan Ke. He also revealed the truth of the photo. At the same time, a few celebrities who claimed to be insiders also released statements, saying that they were there and could testify that Wan Ke accidentally stepped on her skirt and almost fell. Zhou Chuanqing was kind enough to help her up. Someone even anonymously posted a set of photos, showing the scene of Wan Ke falling. The only difference was that the angle of the photo was different, but the truth was clear. The rumors about Wan Ke having a foot in two boats were easily resolved. Although there were still a few anti-fans jumping around, no one cared about them anymore. Did you do this? Gu Xingyin looked at the man who was peeling fruit for her. Ludwig handed her the peeled apple. I just sent an email to the Zhou Corporation in the name of the Gardner family. This man. Gu Xingyin took a bite of the apple. It was so sweet. Wan Ke's Weibo account had a new update. This time, he didn't hide it. In the small photo frame, Ludwig and Wan Ke were intimately snuggled together. Their intertwined hands also appeared in the camera, and the emeralds on their ring fingers shone brightly. The benefits of a dog with a face, I'm taking this painting away. Fuck, the ring lit up. Have the two of them really reached this stage? Fuck, the ring lit up. Such a big emerald, how much did it cost? Fuck, the ring lit up. Upstairs, you can go online and search for the Gardner family. Am I the only one who noticed that Ludwig was clearly in D country the day before, and now he's already beside Her Majesty? I noticed it too. So considerate, so sweet. I'll drink this bowl of dog food. Fuck, I just searched for the Gardner family. Is he really from the Gardner family? No, I have to go downstairs and run 2 laps to calm down. I wish you happiness. Chapter 144. Just as Ludwig had said, their wedding took place quickly. Wan Ke's parents were quite satisfied with their son-in-law, even though they were a little resentful that their daughter had kept it from them. The old man was a good judge of character. He could tell that this man cherished Yan Zhi's every move. Young people, as long as you're happy, that's good. Their wedding was held in a very high profile. Originally, the two of them wanted to hold their wedding in a low-key manner. However, Wan Ke had encountered such an incident, and Ludwig did not want anyone to make an issue out of their wedding. As a result, the netizens who watched the entire live broadcast learned something new. Oh my god, that's the supermodel Lilith Bitter. Ball Queen Beyoncé. The two people upstairs are nothing. Can't you see that the first person sitting on the left of the VIP seats is the Foreign Affairs Minister of Country D? I don't understand. Where is this place? In the Cathedral of the Holy Sun, the person who witnessed their marriage was an archbishop who was personally appointed by the Pope. There's a type of wedding called someone else's wedding, there's a type of wedding called someone else's wedding +1. A few days ago, didn't an A-list celebrity broadcast a video of a so-called luxurious wedding? Compared to him, he's nothing. Her Majesty the Queen looks so beautiful in her wedding dress. So beautiful, so beautiful, so beautiful, Mommy asked me why my face is so close to the screen. Miss Wan Ke, are you willing to? The kind-looking bishop read the marriage vows solemnly. I'm willing, Wan Ke said clearly. She looked deeply at the man in front of her. It was not the first time she had held a wedding with this man, but every time, it could bring her a new feeling of gratitude. I love you. The murmured words disappeared between their lips. All the guests applauded at the same time, giving their blessings to the newlyweds. Damn it, it was such a happy scene, but I actually cried when I saw it. Me too, upstairs. I think Her Majesty the Queen really doesn't have it easy. I'm crying too. I wish them happiness for the rest of their lives. May they be happy all their lives. Just when everyone was speculating whether Wan Kei, who had married into a super-rich family, would quit the entertainment industry, Gu Xingyin posted her honeymoon photos. Every time the two of them appeared in different places, the only thing that remained the same was the happy smile on their faces. Gu Xingyin released a statement saying that she loved acting and would not quit the entertainment industry, but would focus more on her family in the future. Just like that, she continued to release one movie after another. Many people were maliciously guessing when the two of them would get divorced and waiting for their scandals. After all, it was not uncommon for such a celebrity to have a miserable life after marrying into a rich family. However, Gu Xingyin and Ludwig disappointed them. No matter if it was the first year, the second year, or the 10th year, people would always see the two of them hugging each other happily. In the end, no one doubted their feelings. Everyone silently wished that this couple could be together forever and never leave each other. Gu Xingyin smiled happily when she left. She had been in love with her husband all her life. When she was old, she had children and grandchildren. As a woman, she was undoubtedly the object of envy. She did not feel sad at all. She even said to the white-haired Ludwig, "Don't feel reluctant to part with me. God will let us meet again." Yes, they would meet again. Their fate would never stop. Chapter 145. Let's get to work, let's get to work. In the shabby studio, a man with messy hair and a cigarette in his mouth was yelling. "Hurry up, Ming Shujia. What are you dawdling for?" Ming Shujia was just a little slow and was scolded by the man. She stood up numbly. She had heavy makeup on her face and wore a vulgar red dress. If someone were to look at her, no one would be able to recognize that she was the pure and lovely Ming Shujia of the past. She was now a famous porn star in the otaku circle. In layman's terms, she was a low-class artist who relied on selling her body to gain attention. Where's your expression? Aren't you being tortured? Ming Shujia, don't you want to film anymore? The man with the cigarette stood up and yelled. Do you still think you're the woman of the Prince of Star Entertainment? Act well for me. If it weren't for your pretty face, I would have changed you a long time ago. Ming Shujia finished a day of filming like a zombie and returned to the small apartment she rented in exhaustion. She turned on the TV and saw the trailer of Wan Kei's new movie. Ever since she got married, her popularity didn't drop. Instead, it became even more popular. The internet often reported on her and her husband's loving daily life. Every time Wan Kei was filming, as long as Ludovic was free, he would definitely go to the set to pick up his wife. Even one of their children had the same surname as their mother. Did Ming Shujia hate Wan Kei? Without a doubt, she hated her. It was all thanks to Wan Kei that she became what she was today. She was the one who found someone to expose the scandal that caused such a sensation. She just couldn't stand Wan Kei's glamorous appearance and wanted to ruin her reputation. She didn't expect the Gardner family to be so powerful and directly put pressure on Star Entertainment. Yu Xiang also abandoned her immediately and banned her. Her past interactions with those investors were all exposed. The time, place, and who she was with were all clear and there was no room for debate. No entertainment company in the country was willing to sign her. She had no choice but to choose a small production studio. Because her reputation was completely ruined, the roles she could get were all vicious and promiscuous. Her pay was barely enough to make a living. Standing in the bathroom, Ming Shujia allowed the ice-cold water to pour down from the top of her head. In a trance, she recalled the time when she first came into this body. At that time, he was confident, proud, and ambitious. He felt that he would definitely be able to make a name for himself in the Z country's entertainment industry with his ability to foresee the future. However, why did everything turn out like this? She couldn't understand. She hastily took a shower and fell onto the bed before she could even dry her trembling wet hair. She didn't have time to think about those things now. She had to go to bed quickly. She had to get up early tomorrow to rush to the set. Ming Shujia closed her eyes tiredly. After Gu Xingyin returned to the space, she didn't stay for long before hurrying to the next world. However, when she opened her eyes, she was completely dumbfounded. Anyone who opened their eyes and found themselves lying in a coffin, even if the coffin was unusually spacious and luxurious, it couldn't hide the fact that it was a coffin, would be stupefied. Chapter 146. System. Gu Xingyin called out to the system as she sat up and surveyed her surroundings. Without a doubt, she was in a very large room. The room was very dark. Gu Xingyin surveyed her surroundings. Based on the furnishings around her, this should be a bedroom. Who would place a coffin in a bedroom? The system finally appeared. Host, your body this time is Catherine Brooke, princess of the blood race's Brooke family. Blood race? Before Gu Xingyin could react, a huge amount of information flooded her mind. When Princess Brooke's memories, which spanned over tens of thousands of years, flooded her mind, even Gu Xingyin's incomparably strong soul was greatly impacted. She sat in the luxurious coffin in a daze for quite a while. The blood race was known as the undead race. They did not age or die and had an almost eternal lifespan. At the same time, they possessed powers that ordinary humans could not hope to attain. The hierarchy of the blood race was very strict. Since the extinction of the blood race's ancestor, Cain, and the second generation of the blood race, the third generation blood race, who were known as the princes, were the strongest of the blood race. The body that Gu Xingyin was currently occupying was one of the two princes of the blood race, the leader of the Brooke family, which was known as the strongest fighting race of the blood race. The other prince was from another race of the blood race, the Makavi family. Unlike the Brooke family, who loved to fight, the Makavi family was known as the lunatics of the blood race. When they were quiet, they were more gentlemanly and elegant than the human royalty. However, once the madness in their bones was triggered, they were more terrifying than the cruelest of demons. The prince of the Makavi family, Owen Makavi, was also the fiancé of Princess Brooke. Gu Xingyin combed through her memories. Fortunately, the marriage between Catherine and Owen was just an agreement between the two races. The two of them did not interfere with each other's affairs. Speaking of which, in the thousands of years of marriage between the two, Owen, who was naturally a playboy, had changed lovers countless times. Fortunately, Catherine the Great loved to fight and didn't like strangers getting close to her. Princess Brooke, who had lived for tens of thousands of years and was still a virgin, was the target of all the blood breeds. Owen McAvoy had even joked that he would personally transform anyone who could spend a night with Her Highness Catherine and bestow him with great power. Only the Blood clan, who were known for their lack of moral integrity, could say such words. Unfortunately, to this day, no one has been able to fulfill this condition. Gu Xingyin got up from the coffin and stepped barefoot on the scarlet goose down carpet. Her skin was exceedingly white, and against the crimson carpet, she was stunningly beautiful. Gu Xingyin carefully observed her surroundings as she walked. She had to admit that the bloodlings were a race that knew how to enjoy life. Everywhere she looked, there was nothing that wasn't luxurious and extravagant, yet she couldn't detect a trace of tackiness. She only felt that it was incomparably luxurious and made people not dare to look at it directly. The long lifespan of the bloodlings gave them unlimited advantages. They were rich, romantic, interesting, and were born beautiful. They even had enough time to nurture their sense of beauty. Gu Xingyin arrived in front of the huge carved ivory mirror. It was said that this mirror was the work of a human master 100 years ago. It had been kept in the emperor's treasury for decades as a treasure. No one knew that the mirror in the emperor's treasury was just a defective product. The real perfect work had long been in the hands of the princess of the blood breeds. The figure in the mirror appeared in Gu Xingyin's eyes. Chapter 147. Without a doubt, the female lead of each world was usually born with the fortune of the world, and their looks were usually not bad. The female leads that Gu Xingyin had experienced in the previous worlds were also all worthy of the title of Shenhua. However, there was no one like Queen Ekaterina Brooke, who gave people such a big impact at first sight. She was undoubtedly extremely beautiful. Her eyes were a mysterious dark gold color. They were deep and unruly, like two bottomless pools that could easily make people sink into them. Her skin was very white, like the finest and most exquisite ivory. Her red lips were like flames, and when she opened them slightly, she could casually spit out a sentence that could make people go crazy. She had an extremely beautiful head of long red curly hair, which naturally fell to her ankles. With a slight movement, it was as if it was going to burn. She was a peerless beauty. However, this beauty also had the power to look down on the world. If she wanted to, she could destroy a kingdom with a wave of her hand. Such a woman would undoubtedly make people fearful, and would also make men have an unprecedented desire to conquer her. At this moment, this beauty was frowning slightly. Such an action from her face did not affect her beauty at all, but it would make people want to erase the things that affected her mood. Unfortunately, the system was not human, and it did not care much about the host's beauty. System, my power, seems to be a bit wrong. Gu Xingyin furrowed her brows. She had just discovered that there was another type of power in her body apart from the blood tribe's bloodline power. This was not a small matter. If there was a conflict between the two powers, even for her, it would not be a small matter. The system replied, I was just about to explain to the host that the host has successfully completed 5 world missions. From this world onwards, the host can choose to take away the power of any of the world's protagonists. The first time the system randomly selected, the host will have the Ice Soul Sword Heart of Gu Weixin in the Xianxia world, and have the ability to transform the blood of the blood breeds into sword energy. Gu Xingyin, a blood breeds prince who uses a sword. Isn't this style a bit wrong? The system said, of course, the host can choose not to use this skill. Friendly reminder, although the bloodline makes you powerful, it also restricts some things. For example, vampires can't see sunlight. Even someone as strong as a prince is only slightly better at resisting sunlight than ordinary vampires. Gu Xingyin nodded, I understand what you mean. As long as it doesn't affect me in any way, I don't mind learning another skill. It's never a burden to have more skills. You might even be able to save your life at a critical moment. At this moment, someone knocked on Gu Xingyin's door. Your Highness, your dinner is ready, the waiter outside the door said respectfully. The heavy door opened silently. Gu Xingyin walked out unhurriedly. The servant didn't even dare to raise her head. She felt like she couldn't breathe in front of the prince. This was the bloodline suppression that a high-level blood breed had over a low-level blood breed. However, at this moment, Gu Xingyin, who was sitting at a long square table that could accommodate dozens of people, was speechless as she looked at the luxurious dinner in front of her. A cup of fresh blood. Gu Xingyin was speechless. Even if her acting skills were good, she really couldn't drink this blood. Chapter 148. Fortunately, someone came in time to save her. Catherine, my fiancée, long time no see. A low voice sounded. At the same time, the man floated into the castle like a gust of wind. Gu Xingyin's expression did not change, but her body swayed slightly and disappeared. Sigh, you really don't look like a woman. A melancholic voice sounded from where Gu Xingyin was sitting. There was no need to guess. There was only one person who dared to call Princess Brooke by her name, O Linwen McAvoy. Gu Xingyin raised her head and looked at the fiancé of the original body. The skin of the blood clan was top-notch, not to mention O Linwen, who was a pure-blood prince. At this moment, he was wearing a noble suit from the Middle Ages. His golden hair was neatly combed behind his ears, revealing his handsome facial features. His mesmerizing blue eyes were filled with melancholy, making people unable to help but feel pity for him. Seeing Gu Xingyin looking over, O Linwen revealed a regretful smile. Catherine, no matter what, we have been engaged for thousands of years, but I have not even succeeded in hugging you. Gu Xingyin said coldly, I don't feel at ease letting such a dangerous person like you get close to my body. Look, you don't know how to have fun. O Linwen seemed to be helpless against her. In this world, fighting is not the only thing that can make people happy. He looked at Gu Xingyin teasingly. If you are willing to believe me this once, I will bring you the most extreme happiness in the world. Gu Xingyin raised her eyebrows and looked at him. Her red lips lifted, revealing a smile that could make people fall head over heels for her. O Linwen was stunned. Why did he feel that this woman seemed to be different? If it was in the past, she would not have revealed such a smile. It was really, damn seductive. Happy things? Gu Xingyin pondered these words carefully. When O Linwen looked at her, she raised her eyebrows and said viciously, even if I want to, I won't find a man who I don't know how many hands he has, right? O Linwen choked for a moment before he sneered, Catherine, if it weren't for your bloodline, I wouldn't believe that a woman like you could be a pure vampire. Gu Xingyin smirked. You should know that if it weren't for your bloodline, you would have been reduced to ashes a long time ago. O Linwen did not care about her sarcasm. He suddenly stood up, and in a flash, he came to Gu Xingyin's side, stopping at a distance that would not make her feel disgusted. In this world, I'm the only one who dares to speak to you like that, right? My fiancé. He suddenly let out a long laugh and disappeared. Gu Xingyin stood up and walked back to her bedroom. It was not until a long time after she had left that a servant walked into the living room, trembling with fear. Prince Makavi did not hide his identity when he came to Brooks Nightingale Castle. These servants had already hidden far away. No one would dare to eavesdrop on the conversation between the two princes even if they were given 100 guts. The servant looked at the untouched blood in the cup with infatuation and licked his lips. This was the purest and freshest virgin blood. Other than high-ranking vampires who were counts and above, ordinary people would not be able to enjoy it. Chapter 149. Lancelot Lane had a very strange dream. A woman appeared in his dream. He could not see the woman's face clearly. Sometimes, he even felt that the woman looked different every time she appeared, but he knew that it was the same person. In his dream, he was madly in love with that woman. After waking up from the dream, the burning feeling in his heart did not fade for a long time. He felt that he had fallen in love with that woman. He wanted to find her. If his die-hard followers knew about this, they would definitely mock him for a long time. So many beautiful and cute ladies were chasing after him, but he had fallen in love with a woman who did not even exist in his absurd dream. He got out of bed, changed his clothes, and started to walk outside with his sword. "Young master, where are you going?" The white-haired old butler asked curiously. "I'm going out for a while." He felt that the impulse in his heart came out of nowhere, but strangely, he did not reject it. Instead, he was secretly excited. It was as if someone was guiding him. The person he was looking for was far away in the north. At this moment, a girl came to the Dark Knight Castle in the McAvoy territory in the south. The target of the mission has appeared. Gu Xingyin sighed. If this story did not have a Katarina Brooke, it would be a story of a handsome blood clan prince and an ordinary human girl. The beautiful human girl, Rita, caught the eye of the blood clan prince who was out looking for food. The Blood Clan prince, who had only intended to enjoy her once, brought her back to the castle because of the girl's unusually delicious blood. He planned to make her a long-term meal ticket. The girl did not resist. In fact, very few humans could resist the beauty and immortality of the Blood Clan. But the girl was not willing to be an unknown lover. She wanted to become the official wife of Oren McAvoy. But there was still a high and mighty woman, Ekaterina Brooke. Even without Ekaterina, the McAvoy family would not agree to the prince choosing a human girl to be his wife. If the girl's blood was not pure, the future heir would not be a noble pureblood. Actually, there was still a chance. As long as Oren insisted, no one would dare to go against the prince's power. Unfortunately, Rita, who had fallen into madness, did not think so much. In order to become a noble pureblood, she thought of a way: blood exchange. Whose blood should he exchange for? Naturally, it was the woman with the most noble bloodline in the entire blood race, Yekaterina Brooke. It was no doubt difficult to plot against a prince. Rita had been preparing for this for almost 1,000 years. She took advantage of Princess Brooke's weakness and sealed her away with a bunch of equally ambitious vampire allies. However, this matter could not be considered a success because before Rita could make a move, Prince McAvoy had rushed over. Almost at the instant he saw the female duchess lying in the coffin, he was so furious that he tore everyone present into pieces. However, he was still unable to wake up his fiancée from her deep slumber. Can the blood exchange really succeed? Gu Xingyin suddenly asked. The system replied, the blood breeds rely on blood to pass down their power. Theoretically speaking, Rita's idea can be realized. Furthermore, after obtaining all of your blood, she will also inherit the dark energy in your blood. Gu Xingyin. This world is not beautiful at all. Chapter 150. It was said that Prince McAvoy of the Dark Knight Castle had a new favorite. Not only did he prepare a grand banquet for her, but he also announced that he would change her publicly at the banquet. This was a rare thing. Everyone knew that Prince McAvoy had always been flirtatious and he had countless lovers. However, there were very few who could receive this honor. If the prince personally carried out the embrace, as long as the lucky human was not too unlucky, she would at least become an earl. Many blood breeds were envious and jealous of this. Who asked them to not receive the prince's favor? Tonight, the Dark Knight Castle was very lively. Everyone wanted to see what kind of human could catch the eye of His Highness McAvoy, who was so arrogant. Rita was nervous and excited at the same time. She had been in the Dark Knight Castle for so long and already knew what kind of race the blood breeds were. She was not afraid at all. Instead, she was excited and looking forward to what was going to happen next. Becoming an immortal blood breed was such a good thing. Although she would lose sunlight, she could obtain almost everything else: beauty, strength, wealth, power, and immortality. She felt her blood boiling. Oh, Linwen turned his head as if he sensed something. He leaned over and looked at her. You can't wait anymore. Rita's face was slightly red and her eyes were bright. She was about to say something when the hall suddenly quieted down. Other than Oh Linwen, all the blood breeds in the hall lowered their noble heads at the same time. Rita, on the other hand, did not feel much because she was a human. She opened her eyes wide and looked at the woman who walked in slowly. She was so shocked that she could not speak. She knew that the blood breeds were exceptionally beautiful. However, in front of this woman, all the other blood breeds were reduced to accessories. Catherine, what brings you here? She heard the man beside her call out her name. His tone was different from the solemn one in the past. I heard that you are going to change into a blood descendant. I have nothing to do, so I came to take a look. The woman's voice seemed to have a unique rhythm. It was slightly low, but it was able to evoke the deepest desire in one's heart. Rita's body trembled uncontrollably. It wasn't out of fear, but excitement. The man beside her seemed to laugh briefly. In 3,000 years, this is the first time you have come to my dark night castle. What an honor, my fiancé. Rita was shocked. Fiancé? This man actually had an engagement. She glanced at Gu Xingyin in confusion. The next second, she lowered her gaze as if she didn't dare to look straight at her. He actually had such a beautiful and noble fiancé, so why did he come to find her? Gu Xingyin glanced at Rita. She had long curly red hair, light brown eyes, and a fair complexion. She was considered a rare beauty among humans, but she was not very eye-catching among the blood clan. However, why did he feel that she looked a little familiar? Gu Xingyin thought for a while but did not come up with an answer. Of course, she had a purpose for coming here today. Her long red dress trailed on the ground as the high and mighty Duchess walked towards Rita step by step. Rita felt that her breathing was about to stop. That seductive and domineering face appeared in front of her. Then, a fair and flawless finger gently lifted her chin. This human girl is to my liking. Owen, why don't you give her to me? You're tuning in to the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.